Welcome to BlizzCon and the Grand Finals of HGC 2018! My name is Kevin, and we have an incredible Grand Final for you. The Gods of the West versus the Gods of the East. It is Dignitas versus Genji. I can't wait for this matchup. It has been the one that has been on our minds all year long. It is going to be an incredible set of games. Best of 5 to see who will be the global champion. We've got JC, Gillyweed, Gluck, and our team of commentators and analysts over at the desk to get it all started. Let's go.
For an entire year, we have been talking about a rivalry between two heroes teams, Team Dignitas and Genji. 2 years ago at BlizzCon, Genji lost in the BlizzCon semifinals and went on to create a dynasty the likes of which any other Heroes of the Storm team could only dream of. But that's the thing about dynasties, they live on generation to generation until they're overthrown. Welcome to the HGC Grand Finals. I am Gillyweed and I'm here with Dreadnought, J-How, and Tetrard. Dreadnought, here we go again.
I am ready to get this started. We've, as you said, kind of been having the story brewing for so very long, the rivalries between that and the performance that we got out of them at the Midseason Brawl Grand Finals. I am confident that this is going to do not only these teams justice, but justice to you fans at home. This is what we have all been waiting for.
And J-How, Team Dignitas last BlizzCon fell unexpectedly in the round of 8, came in, Gold Club World Championship, regrouped, reformed, and went to the Grand Finals versus Genji. And then again at the Midseason Brawl. It has never been closer to a Dignitas win till now.
It feels like this is their time. This is the moment where they finally culminated. After last BlizzCon, it was like a team reborn. They've gotten closer and closer every step of the way. I think this is the final step in the dream of making it a reality for this team.
But Tetrard, Genji are not content with just one BlizzCon win. They want a dynasty, especially when they have gotten so used to winning. It feels so good.
Absolutely. They would absolutely want to be the first two-time champions for the Heroes of the Storm Global Championships because it hasn't been around that long. But the fact is, Dignitas have only dropped a single map this tournament, but Genji, they have dropped maps in group stages before, they've dropped maps in bracket stages before, but they always show up in the finals. It's always their best work.
Let's look at the bracket for this event and where we've come from to know where we'll be going. We started off yesterday with 8 teams, brought down to 4, the 4 that we saw today. And I'll be honest, guys, I didn't prepare for another Grand Finals, because I was so convinced this was going to happen, and then Gen.G and Team Liquid threw me for a loop.
Yeah, they very much did throw everybody for a loop, and I think even more so when you look at the series that they had before that point, the fact that Heroes was able to make that very, very competitive and close, but then somehow we saw Liquid able to evolve and move themselves on almost to the Grand Finals, but as we said before here, Gen.G was able to hold up, stand their ground, and it's part of the reason I think a lot of us are walking into this Grand Finals and saying, are they truly the upper hand team? Is Dignitas really that underdog? Because looking at the games we've gotten so far, Dig is by far the cleanest team in this tournament.
Dig has always been one step ahead of Gen.G, it almost feels like. Right, group stage, Gen.G lost a game to Team Liquid. Dignitas came in unscathed. Then in the semifinals that we saw earlier today, Gen.G dropped 2 games, and that third game looked close, Tetrard.
That was really close. I was up dancing around thinking that we were potentially going to get an EU versus EU finals. It was so tense, but in the end, Gen.G were able to find their opportunity and get themselves the position in their second Grand Finals in HGC at BlizzCon.
A lot of it with Dignitas is, to echo what Dread's saying, I mean, it passes the eye test. I mean, Dignitas, everything that we're seeing, they seem to be the more dominant team. They seem to have more diversity than any other team here, and they execute so well that it really feels like this is the team that should be favored coming into this matchup.
Well, I can't wait any longer. So all of you out there and all of you at home, get up and get loud, because it's time to crown our 2018 Heroes Global Champion.
저희 목표는 당연히 우승이고, 사실 이스턴 때 한번 무패 우승을 해보긴 했는데 이번에도 무패 우승을 도전하고 싶지만은 좀 힘들 수도 있을 것 같아서 할 수만 있다면 무패 우승에 한번 도전해보고 싶습니다. 저번 미드 시즌 때 디그니타스를 한번 꺾은 경험은 있는데 솔직히 조금 많이 힘들었어요. 그때 약간 좀 기적이 있었다고 생각하고, 이번에는 저번 미드 시즌과는 다르게 좀 더 많은 연습을 통해서 한 번 더 꺾을 수 있지 않을까 싶어요. 솔직히 저희 팀은 다양한 전략을 쓰는 팀은 아니라고 생각해요. 조금 약간 짓눌어버리는 그런 형식이 게임인 것 같아서 저희가 이제 전략을 바꾼다기보다는 상대 전략에 맞춰서 그것을 카운터 친다는 느낌이 더 강할 것 같아요. 상금은 딱히 지금은 제가 당장 어디에 쓴다기보다는 작년 상금도 지금 아직도 안 쓰고 모아뒀어요. 그래서 올해 받은 상금도 모아서 계속 저축하는 형식이 되지 않을까 싶어요.
Playing as Genji in the finals, this is the moment we've been waiting for. We've been training our whole time since the MSB to reach this again. And I think this match is going to be the pinnacle of Heroes of the Storm. We're going to have to play at our absolute best to be able to defeat this powerhouse. But I think if we put in everything we've got, we can take them. I think we as a team fuel our energy from the crowd a lot. The rush of the roar of the crowd when a big play happens or when you know you did something really cool and everyone's cheering. I think our team really enjoys that. And I think playing on stage really benefits us. So we're definitely looking forward to playing with the biggest crowd for every event of Heroes. I haven't really thought too much about what I'm going to do if we do win BlizzCon with the money. It's a huge amount. I don't think I've ever had this much amount of money, ever, in terms of just for me. So it's going to be crazy. But I think for me, the biggest thing is just being able to be the ones who lifted that trophy.
Oh, here we are, you know, it's the Clash of the Titans. The Genji versus Dignitas rematch from the mid-season brawl. We've learned a lot since then, and we've practiced really hard. We had the boot camp in Korea, and here we are, finally ready to show them and everybody what we've got. I hope it's gonna be a blast. This feeling of just having been part of something that everybody enjoyed and got a kick out of, it's just, that's why I play the game. Oh, what I'm gonna do with the grand prize, I'm gonna take them, I'm gonna put them in my corner, and I'm gonna keep playing the game. That's it.
It's time. It's so important that we're gonna even call out these team members by name. We're gonna start over here in the red corner. Incredible team out of Korea. Please welcome to the stage, Coach Noblesse for Genji. And on the front line, holding it down as Tank Tist. Ranged Assassin Reset. You know him, Flex Assassin Rich. Playing Melee Flex Kyocha. And last, support and captain, Sake. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Genji! All right, and on the blue side, hailing out of EU, the best team from the West, Dignitas, and as coach, Nabi. Playing support, Zalia. Ranged Assassin, Poink. Bringing in the damage, Melee Flex, Wubby. On the front line as tank, JPL. And lastly, Captain and Flex Assassin, Snitch. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dignitas! All right, captains, let's come center stage. Shake hands in front of this trophy. Good luck, teams. May the best team win. We're done on this stage. Take it over, guys.
Rivals, friends, and opponents. Team Dignitas and Genji know each other to a T. Dig has gone there so many times to boot camp. And we've heard Snitch in his road to BlizzCon talk about how grateful it was just to be in the experience of the mid-season Brawl Grand Finals. I feel the same just being here and seeing these two teams lock horns once again in a grand finals.
I very much agree. You know, I feel like everybody that got to experience any part of the midseason brawl, even if you weren't there, it was a magical moment for all of competitive Heroes of the Storm, and it's only fitting that we are able to get the, you know, nightcap, if you will, of the HGC to get it once more repeated here. But there's been a lot to be gained with the friendship between Snitch and Rich, you know, with Gen.G and Team Dignitas, and it's been cool to be able to see them respect the hell out of one another, but at the same time realize that at some point that has to come to an end. It's time to figure out who's the best of the best.
The other part is that Wubby on this team has been to every single finals of every event for the last 2.5 years. I mean, he has been here. He has won global championships. He did it with the Fnatic roster, but he's back on Dignitas where he had roots several years ago. So he's back here on the championship stage, a place he's very familiar with. It's such a story when you think about his history alone to be paired with the history of Dignitas. It's rivaling that of Genji. They just need to get the wins now.
If you look at Dignitas' match history, their tournament history throughout this year, it is a sea of gold. They have come first place in basically every tournament they have played in, except this one, the mid-season brawl. It's upside down. The mid-season brawl where they did lose to Genji is the one smudge on their record for this year.
Constantly, they run up against this team in international events. And I feel like so much of that is on this person right here, on Sake, who has captained this team since its infancy.
Yeah, it's very, I feel like, underestimated what Sake has been able to do for the team. Everybody's always talking about Rich and Reset, but Gen.G, Sake has won multiple world championships on multiple roles, and there is about nobody in the world that can say that. And the fact that he is even contesting for a third on his secondary role is just crazy to me here and the rest of the roster. But I mean, this guy is nobody to look over either. Doesn't get his name talked about too often, but I think that is with good reason. Consistency is necessary within the Warrior role, and Tist, he provides.
Tist's positioning has just been some of the most insane in this tournament. His zoning, preventing some of the more aggressive plays from some teams have been great. But we have to talk about Dignitas. JPL has been just a stalwart frontline ever since he joined the team, has been around almost the longest of any of the players.
Wubby, there's the man. I can't speak highly enough. He's my favorite player in the entire world. He does things just that nobody else does. The way he thinks for this team, it's unprecedented, and we've mentioned Snitch so many times. As much as we mention it, Dreadnought, it almost feels like we don't mention it enough what he does for this team.
I very much agree. He has been a player that at this tournament specifically has stepped up for the squad. And depending on the results that we get, you know, I was giving some banter out in the back there with him. And one of the things that he said, you know, it's out with the Rich, in with the Snitch. It is time to claim himself as one of the best, if not the best player in the world. And I think his performance here is a large reason that we, you know, talk about passing the eye test so far throughout this tournament. I feel like he is very much a key element in that.
I mean, not just this BlizzCon, last BlizzCon, Bakery stepped down from this roster, and this roster needed a leader. Snitch was an easy choice. I remember a time when it was questionable about his play and his position on this team, and now it is, without a doubt, Snitch's team. He is captain, he is leader, and he is leading the charge now in so many different ways and different plays that he makes.
Exactly. He's been around for so long playing with some of these players, but when this team started as Bob ? And finally swapping over to Dignitas for one of their first BlizzCons, Snitch has been there. He's always been solid and has just grown as a player, as a person, and as a captain.
And another guy that I think has grown a lot, and sometimes we can maybe forget some of the impact that he has had, has got to be Xaylia. Not only is he standing out as one of the best supports in the world possibly, but we have to go before GCWC at the beginning of this year, or at least the late end of last year, he was not even a support player. So the fact that he is sitting here rivaling members, and I mean, I'd be willing to say that I think he is a better support than Sake has been. And again, I'm giving a lot of credit to what Sake has been able to do, but Xaylia's performance, his growth, has been almost unmatched to any player throughout all of HGC.
These ingredients, this recipe for success is absolutely necessary to take down a team that has won as many things as Genji has consistently throughout the years. I'm talking Spring Global Championship 2016. The roster known as MVP Black went and has the longest win streak game-wise of any team ever in Heroes of the Storm, and still they persist in the grand finals, J-How.
It's been the evolution of this team, because the core of that roster still basically remains when you have Sake and Rich there, but it's changed. That was the dominant force. They were coming at you at every single angle at every moment of the game. This team feels different. They've evolved. They've gotten smarter. They do things differently. They play the map well, and it's just they're not the aggressive team. They're more of the counter punchers now. It's very different feel from the team, but the dominance is the key factor because that has never gone away for this team.
So how does Team Dignitas get a win over them here? What must happen, Dreadnought?
Got to put Rich on something he's not comfortable on. That is step number one. Find a way to be able to focus on them. And then I would argue game number two is got to be focus on your macro, or at least a way to be able to manipulate the battleground, because there is still, you know, I will always swear by the European region, and especially those that sit at the top are far and above the best in the world in making that happen. And those small elements are the things that I think Dignitas has to rely on if they're going to have a confident victory here against a team like Genji.
Couldn't agree more. Dignitas, if they can make the plays happen on the map, then they might be able to do something. But more importantly, in the draft, and this is where we jump back to Wobby, his drafting style has always been looked at as one of the best in the world. And if he can take Rich off those comfort heroes, then they are going to have a pretty decent chance here.
You think that sign was made just a moment ago, or that's been sitting there for a while? We're going to see if that happens. But, you know, you go back to, Zalea said in the interviews, like, we learned so much from Mid-Season Brawl. I think everybody on Dignitas would acknowledge that. There was a time in that series where everybody's like, wait, is Wubby as good as he is? Because there was a focus on the solo lane to dive onto that. And they started to adapt. They started to change the way that they played throughout that series. And I think that was only for the better for them in the long run.
It's time. Let's head into the Battleground pool and find out where this best of 5 commences. Bands, a Battlefield of Eternity. Dig came in with a plan versus Korea, and they'll stick to it. Genji takes out Cursed Hollow, and we're going to Dragonshire, picked by Genji.
And I think this is a really good map selection when looking at Genji. Not only is it one of their highest preferred battlegrounds, but it puts them in a position to kind of force that fluid laning and those micro decisions that allow them to get the skirmishes, things like the Alarak, the Karazims that we've already seen from them. And I think that if you're going to break down Dignitas and not let them out macro, one of the best ways to do that is, again, those small skirmishes. Dragonshire very much promotes that playstyle, but by no means, if you are a Dignitas fan, do you feel like this is a surprise battleground, or nor are they uncomfortable here.
So we need to have a look at the Hanzo here. Once again, he can dominate the bottom lane, and we know that Genji are just terrifying on it. It's Dignitas' first ban. We might see it removed in those first 2 removal slots.
You may think the Alarak, who's been played last 2 times by Genji, will come out here because it is a high-risk, high-reward hero. And when you start to have a certain amount of respect, sometimes those high-risk heroes kind of go out the window. We'll see how many come out, but those 2 high-impact heroes, Genji and Maiev, banned right out of the gate, no surprise.
And Sergeant Hammer removed by Dignitas as well. They do not want to deal with this. They have lost to it before. Ever since Rich started busting it out, it has been a terror for multiple teams. And Dignitas, they just rather not deal with it.
Speaking of terror, Diablo banned out. Yrel first pick for Dignitas. This is a major change away from the Tyrande that we've seen, but this goes to say that the solo lane is important. This was the very map where Wubby got picked, I think, 2 to 3 times in the early game in their series at Mid-Season Brawl. They had to learn to adapt, but Yrel, one of the tankiest heroes at surviving in that lane.
And the Tyrande pickup here now in response to that adjustment from Team Dignitas going to go over to the hands of Sake, but a huge pickup there with the Phoenix. That is another kind of climbing priority pick for Gen.G so far in this tournament. It's going to help a lot when it comes to the macro and the Waveclear. And we know that Gen.G likes to put that top lane pressure very much up there, and I can't help but feel like that is part of the reason we see that adjustment there for Wubby on that Yrel higher up in priority.
We're going to be seeing a little bit of burst, though, trying to punish the Tyrande if she does go for the Celestial Attunement by getting a bit of ability power. And, of course, some fantastic follow-up to Garrosh if they're able to get that good multi-man taunt. Jaina is absolutely devastating to kill off anyone.
Well, Dread, you mentioned targeting Rich. We haven't necessarily had that yet other than the Genji and the Sergeant Hammer, but those seems like they might just be typical bans because both of these teams, I think those are 2 heroes neither team will want or get in the right circumstance. As the Thrall, that is an interesting ban here, but we've seen that on Dragonshire, and the Alarak ban comes out. Respect goes the other way for that one.
Yeah, and suddenly now you've got to be asking questions about whether or not that kind of fluid laning approach for Genji is going to be a viable decision based on the fact that normally we see them transfer into things other like the Tyrael and things of the like. But as we see the draft kind of unfolding, it's going to be the Malthael and the Anubarak selection. Malthael here from Gen.G. Interesting choice because now we got to be asking again, is that going to be possibly Rich depending on who is the offlane pick? for them.
Well, what we saw from them when they played versus Miracle was the adjustment into Malthael, given that Malthael won that lane so hard versus them when they played in league play. So I expect maybe we will see this continued for Kyocha, especially when that did not work out so far. But hey-oh, Tracer is back for Dignitas.
With the Malfurion, with the Yrel who can follow up for armor, burst follow up onto the Garrosh, the Tracer is fantastic and can dance around heroes like Malthael and Anub'arak especially well, but it has still given Genji that Hanzo, that bottom lane pressure, and that little bit of extra range to try and ping at the Tracer when she tries to get involved.
And a far more comfortable hero for Rich.
Exactly.
One thing that I've seen Gingy do incredibly well to counter Tracer style play is that on a map like Dragonshire, the choke points are narrow. You're always fighting horizontally on this map in each lane, and every time you get around that, Tracer's looking for a flank position. It's not as open as some of the other maps, so they love the Hanzo because one, you have the wave clear with Phoenix, you have wave clear and camp control with that Hanzo, but it's a matter of you want that flank position. You are always hugging a wall to get in that flank position, and I've seen them use that. It's like you get that poke and that scatter, or all of a sudden that Tracer took 70% of her health, and it's like, wait a minute, this isn't what we signed up for, and I really like the Hanzo picked at the tail end of this draft.
I do like the Hanzo at the tail end, but I still am pretty appreciative of the Malfurion Tracer Garrosh synergy that they have, and Jaina is nothing to laugh at either. If the one Ice Lance hits within the 4-man of this laning phase, somebody should be dying in the hands of Genji. They have, yes, the opportunity to Phoenix kind of warp out, but Garrosh should be threatening enough that that's not a problem. Hanzo, he goes down. Malthael, he goes down. Tyrande definitely is going to be one who goes down. So overall, I actually really like this draft because normally when we see Tracer in these circumstances, it comes at a lack of wave clear. Jaina is going to be primarily blizzarding the minion wave, and yes, that does detract from that kill potential, but I think it's more than enough to handle just the Phoenix Hanzo.
Well, friends, it's Grand Finals, so let's give some predictions. Tetcher?
I'm looking at these drafts, and Dignitas I'm really enjoying it. It has enough protection against the burst style of Genji, so I'm going to go with Team Dignitas.
It's the hardest question I've ever answered. The Tracer, I love a Tracer against these style of compositions, but I look at the poke back. I like Genji here in this draft.
The one thing that makes me lean a little bit towards Dignitas here is purely on the top of the Yrel. And it's not because I think that the Yrel is maybe that high of a priority and necessary there, but it shows that there's clear concern towards Wubby's lane and how that's going to be approached. And I think Dig needs to have that against a team like Gen.G on Dragonshire. So I think they came in with a plan, and I feel like they've got to feel comfortable. I'm on Dig.
I too feel like Dig is coming in with a lot of momentum, given that they had the win in the last series. So I'm going to give it to them. Hey, are you guys ready for Grand Finals? I thought as much. So let's do it. Let's crown a Heroes Global Champion.
Dreadnought, it seems like Destiny has fulfilled the prophecy here to give us these teams. Now it's a matter of whose side does Destiny lie on? Is it Dignitas or is it Gingy? Because both of them, they seem primed and ready to take it.
Both these teams want their name etched not only in stone when looking at the history of competitive Heroes of the Storm, but also at the bottom of that trophy. Yes, there may be a lot of money on the line, but I can tell you that these boys are playing for a lot more than that. Pride is very much one of those things. And as you said, the prophecy seems to have been fulfilled. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for game number 1 on Dragonshire.
And here we go. On the left, in blue, will be JPL on the Garrosh, Wubby on Yrel, Poik on Jaina, Snitch on Tracer, and Zelia on Malfurion. Give it up for Dignitas!
And the men maybe against not only Dignitas, but the crowd. Sake going to be on the Tyrande. We have Kyocha representing on Malthael. Phoenix played by Rich. Reset is going to be on the Hanzo. And last up, Tist on Anub'arak. Let's hear it for Genji!
Getting things started, it's just wave clear and abundance on both sides. And as you mentioned in the draft, it's a matter of maybe that solo lane is a priority. Wubby will eat some damage. Dreadnought, I can't help but wonder when we see this Tracer, where will she be on the map at any given time? Because Genji will need to be anchoring in every single corner of this map.
Wow, this is a really interesting play, but very high impact here so far from Team Dignitas. And JL, we don't normally talk about some of the decision-making this early on and how impactful it can be, but Snitch avoiding that rotation for the Phoenix to top lane, that was already what I was talking about, that concern. Dig displaying that they clearly have a game plan in approaching this, but it's going to take a lot of iterations of that if they're going to push back against Genji.
It's going to be an interesting matchup nonetheless. I mean, everything that you've worked for, everything that you've prepared, there is no hiding it. There is no better time than right now. And unfortunately, Snitch found a beetle that spawned right as he used that pulse bomb. He'll have another opportunity shortly, but right now, Genji focusing on the siege camp.
Yeah, Jaina for Team Dignitas looking to pick up that for themselves as well. So it's not like it's going to be neglected. Even amount of pressure towards that southern lane. During this downtime is typically when we do see that transfer for Genji towards the top half of the battleground, not giving so much consideration towards the bottom here. Groundbreaker not going to connect there as Genji finding a way to gain vision control over the middle lane. That's why we see these teams constantly finding their way back to the middle, because if you can control mid, you usually control one of those crucial off lanes.
Right now, the focus on the clear. An interesting thing for me, Dreadnought, because there's not too much that we don't see anymore, but we're actually getting Stormbolt build. I think it's important to point out, because that is a matter of if Tracer comes in, you want that instant damage, but you are relying on hitting those skill shots. So that is an interesting adaptation. I think it's based on the fact that that Tracer's there, but you are all in on trying to counter that.
Yeah, and if you do find a way to be able to complete that quest, your front-loaded damage. Talking about front-loaded damage a lot, there's the Impale and the Lunar Flare. Wubby finds a way to leap over, but Kyocha tracks him down and finds first blood against Dig.
Dread, shades of mid-season brawl there. That's exactly what they did before. Dignitas, they can't let that happen again. It disrupts so much in the early game of your rotations, of your wave clear, and so an early advantage here for Genji.
Great advantage there, and it's going to use the downtime, knowing that Wubby is not on the battleground, to keep up that top lane pressure. Nightcamp is going to be able to buy that for them, and now Genji has two options. They are either going to find a way to enable this Nightcamp and secure a lot of that front wall on this fort, or find a way to then use that rotation downward and get a pick elsewhere and control over that bottom shrine.
Could see Snitch getting the healing just as Azalea comes by to make sure that he is well taken care of. That regrowth will stay on there, provide that passive healing over time. Snitch will look to continue to try and find an opportunity for that pulse bomb. Nightcamp was indeed picked up, but the control right now seems in favor of Gen.G, but no focus. This is a very Gen.G style of just, hey, we'll leave the solo lane in the bottom, so to speak, and try and get those rotations between mid and top.
And they're doing a very good job of just showing very few people on the battleground, giving as little information as possible over towards Team Dignitas so that they don't feel comfortable with some of the rotations, but they do find a route there onto Rich as Tis is going to get flipped back. That was Tis knowing that there was going to be a flip after that Groundbreaker, body blocking that flip onto Rich there. And that is a great play here, and why Genji has been able to make it so far in this tournament. But the Nightcamp not focused on, but Wubby taking a bit of poke and prod here from Genji.
Yeah, his jump was down. He's trying to recharge that. See if he can get some help from Brenz. JPL comes over looking for a fight. Groundbreaker will get the knock up there, but Snitch thwarted by Tist. Again here, the stun coming down. Genji, heavy focus on this top lane. You can see Dignitas trying to come up with a response, but after level 7, it'll make it easier for Snitch to continue to make more plays. But right now, that Tracer's still ramping up. But the early game in favor of Genji, seeing if they can change something right here.
Yeah, Tis maybe gonna eat a pulse bomb though. Burrow charge coming through. Enough damage on the bottom half though, and Dignitas finding that counter pressure in other areas of Genji. Wants to attend towards the top lane. Dig is not having a problem with it for now. Flip over onto Kyocha, but the Rage Strike out is gonna make him just fine and dandy. Here, Dignitas sticking around maybe a little bit longer than they would like, knowing that that Nightcamp is pressuring, but Wubby in the downtime backdooring that top shrine to get DK pressure in Dig's name.
And see if they can make a play here. Getting control of those lanes can control the rotations. It's actually going to keep Genji here. There's another flip in. Snitch tracking down Tist. He knows that he has that Burrow charge out and any shields available. Rich also can warp out, but if they can get some type of root or stun there, that is the threat for the kill potential.
Poik taking a lot of damage, gonna get the into the fray save there. Snitch also having to use one of those teleports out in the blink charge, but he's going to be just fine. Genji, very intimidating when it comes to those rotations for now. In the downtime, looking to pick up the giant camp that will enable the bottom half. And every time we see Gen.G look for those mercenaries, expect it's either bottom lane enabling them or off lane kill your opponents and then make this game kind of spiral out of control. But I gotta give credit where it's due. Dignitas has done a very good job of stalling the cadence, which Gen.G normally has on Dragonshire.
Yeah, it really feels like it's playing not to make a mistake as being proactive. They were proactive in the top lane, but everywhere else it's a matter of don't give anything up. Dignitas is constantly threatening with this Tracer moving around here. Gen.G, they're roaming as a group, so it's a different feel indeed. As Gen.G will have camps pushing in the bottom and responded to as Wubby and Snitch looking into this top lane.
Looks like Snitch is not going to be able to commit here up on the top half, so we'll see what he can make happen down below. 6 minutes in and still no Dragonite acquired for either side, but Heroic soon. An attempt to gank there, but Poik not stepping out too far. And this is something that Genji has been doing pretty much since minute 1, is the amount of information they've been giving, trying to manipulate the fog. Tist able to sniff out some of Team Dignitas, but again, not quite in position to pull the trigger. And at J-How, I think bringing this back to the draft a little bit, that comes down to that Jaina. She's so worried about getting the wave clear that she is not able to slow Gen.G so that pesky Tracer can track them down with the pulse bomb.
Yeah, the Jaina got the 1v1 that kind of snuck in there, but outside of that, I agree with you. It has been difficult. Now that this wall is down, we already saw the threat in that top lane. It only gets worse when you don't have a retreat point. This is a Gen.G special. Use that Anubarak, dive under those forts, use those beetles to tank those up, and try and confirm those kills. But 10 now online for both teams. Wubby, bit tankier now with that Ardent Defender if needed, but also with Tracer trying to do some bonus damage. This is where Tracer really starts to have a greater impact.
And we already see here that Xaylia actually not going to be locking in his heroic selection. And I'm not going to lie, this is probably one of the better circumstances to go into that Twilight Dream. We were talking about the threat that Tracer can have when it comes to the dive on the backline, but Twilight Dream's one of those best kill potentials as well. And one thing we have to consider whenever you have the Twilight Dream, though it may come at the cost of Xaylia's life, into the fray is a great enabler there. Warp already used though by Rich. JPL not able to find the flip as the Lunar Flare comes in. Indomitable use.
He's going to be there. There's a Dragonair that's going to eat right into the salvo. See if he can get any kills. None yet. As Dignitas survives, Snitch taking the poke there from Reset. He's able to survive for now. Dignitas needs to reset this quickly.
Yeah, they're able to make it out though, and nice into the fray as you had pointed out there. But it is going to be the Twilight Dream selection for Xaylia, and that is because, again, those squishy backliners, if one silence hits them and the Tracer is able to move up, it is very unlikely that Tyrande can save that target. Flip or root, a lot of damage they're going on to Tisk, but the burrow charge, it's all it takes to be able to make it out for now. Gen.G gaining control of both shrines. Now with Dragonite threat, Rich starts channel.
Snitch will go in with a more harassment, trying to get that. The kill targets are so hard when you look at the warp out by Phoenix. Reset nowhere near on that Hanzo, but as he moves his way in to try and get this capture, Gen.G moving forward. Dignitas holding ground for now.
Dignitas 6 seconds out from the water elemental, something they may want to rely on to get a counter initiation. Only 8 seconds there for Gen.G to have Reset with that Dragon's Arrow. Nice reveal there with the Sentinels, going to make JPL second guess the positioning for a moment here, but a lot of kind of head-to-head matchups here over this mid lane. Surprising amount of kind of lack of information and more so focus towards that top lane again from Gen.G, but I feel like that is Dig kind of forcing their hand.
Seems like these counters of Phoenix and Hanzo have done so well at every time Snitch moves in, he's being forced off, and Malthil does an incredible job against Yrel, and it's been difficult for Wubby to gain control in that. He needs some assistance, but they can't afford to give any. They have no way to get control. There's the Dragon Arrow that's going to land. Nature's Cure, though, comes out. Will buy some time, Dread.
A lot of damage there, but the taunt on the Rich will flip over. The damage coming through, and Dignitas find themselves the first kill. Twilight Dream going through 1-for-1 between the teams. Pulse Bomb out. Kyocha is able to survive for a bit longer, but he is going to drop. Dig find themselves a lot of kills.
Another root!
The root! 1 for 3. Dignitas tear open Gen.G.
They've been waiting for that moment. They've been building there. They finally got there, and plays made by just about everybody. And now Dignitas will look to claim control of those shrines. Wubby moves to the top. You have somebody moving to the bottom, and now it's Dignitas' chance to try and get the first DK of the game.
This is a huge swing for them to be able to gain the control, but you see no patience here from Gen.G as they're just going to find a way to match into Wubby, making that Dragonite not an option for now. If Dignitas maybe have put more emphasis onto the mercenaries in this situation, they buy that pressure later on, but not being able to get that, and Gen.G with that counter rotation has essentially kind of stalemated this out back to a near dead even game.
Well, that not quick enough. There we go. That's DK number 1 picked up here. 13 talent here. Genji did a very great job of stalling, but came up just a few seconds short. DK will target this mid lane for now, see what Dignitas can do with it.
Front wall focus just for now. Now Dignitas, whether or not they're going to put any pressure towards top, no, the answer is still sticking to the Western paradigm here, making the pressure towards bottom, afterwards enabling that multiple stack of mercenaries. It is only a 10-minute Dragonite though, and conveniently enough, because it is the first Dragonite of the game, a lot of structures have actually not gone down. At this point in time, normally we're going, you know, what are these mercenaries going to be threatening towards the keeps themselves? But Dig, double front wall seems to be the answer for now. And we'll see if any of those offlaners decide to make the transition down.
Well, they're trying to track Kyocha down. He's going to mount up. There's the end of the fray. That's going to get the slow, the lockdown. The roots go down. The taunt comes in. Wubby, they don't have the kill potential here. Dragon Arrow will buy some time for them to get out of here. Kyocha able to survive. Good team play. And now we've got the cocoon. Snitch trying to get out of there. Last rites.
Finds it, and that is another kill now for Gen.G. Great job there, being able to hold their own and not over kind of react to the fact that we saw the Malthael able to cut out for a moment.
He's gone.
But Poik here on an island. Gen.G say thank you for another one, and now they find themselves dead even when it comes to the kills. 4-4 overall. But definitely a big misstep coming out from Team Dignitas, though Genji maybe didn't expect to be able to give up the Dragon Knight at that point in time at that level. Definitely Dignitas not assuming that counterplay here out of Genji.
Well, Genji getting that kill, there is experience in that fort, but it's a matter of, is it worth it? I mean, we'll see. The death timers here, we still have 15 seconds before Jaina is back. See what Genji can do in the meantime to try and get some of that back, because right now Dignitas still does hold a lead, but it looks like it's only momentary. Dreadnought is Genji pushing down the spot lane.
But we do see from above, Dignitas looking for a collapse. Urel was looking to make the transition down, but was scouted out by Kyocha for Gen.G. Sentinel going to get a bit of a reveal, but not allowing anything to kind of move up so far. Focus onto the fort. It should go to Gen.G over here. But look at this. Dignitas able to zone off enough. It is coming at the cost of some of that top lane experience. Hold on, Zalia hits himself a root, and suddenly Rich is out of here.
Zalia's just been making root play after root play. Remember, there's no fort here, so that's actually a very good impale to slow down the assault here, because Snitch maybe have been able to track that down, but Dignitas with another counter kill goes up 16-15. They're actually going to take the Siege Giants of Gen.G, maybe look to make some plays of their own.
Great job by Team Dignitas identifying that the Malthael was not there and that they had enough.
One more.
And look at this, they know a man down. They're going to be able to force it. Cocoon comes out, the Warlord's challenge. JPL unable to steal the camp, the last rites. Now it is a 1-for-1, a 4 versus 4. Snitch trying to get the retreat. The Twilight Dream ends up going down here. Kyocha is surviving somehow, 1 versus 4.
But he's not done yet. He goes in and ends up paying for it. Right now, Ardent Defender used. Wubby goes back in, and Gen.G, they're going to back off for now. Lunar Flare will land Wubby. Scatter Arrow will miss, a 1-for-1. Dignitas was trying to make the big plays right there, Dread, but an excellent play by Tis to land that cocoon and try and make the plays and deny JPL from entering there in time. So the camp picked up by Genji.
Got to have a lot of appreciation for the decision-making there from Dignitas, though, trying to force any small advantage that they would have. That's not often a night camp invade, especially this early on, is not something we see at this level that frequently, but I can't help but feel like displays the desire and the passion kind of from these players and how much they are willing to take any risk necessary to be able to get the upper hand. Try and control on bottom half, going over to Dig. Mercenary's going to be able to back that on the bottom half, eventually demand some sort of response from Genji. We'll see what they do for now. Again, kind of attending towards that top lane.
Yeah, they're trying to find Wubby. They're not going to find him right now. It's almost like the calm right now. They're going to get this fort, get that pressure, and Genji, or Dignitas wants none of that just yet. They'll try and get the minions forward, but 17-17, 5 kills to 6. JPL and team moving forward. Reset will get the jump over the wall. See if they get the turn here. Indomitable use. JPL took a lot of damage on the way out, Dread.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage there, as you said. Look at this, though. They find Kyocha. The damage comes through. Twilight Dream is there, but Kyocha survives. Pulse bomb, locks it in. Nope, Chuck Testa, he survives. Shadow Stop with that heal helps him stay up here. Now the Lunar Flare comes in. 2-man hammer. Warp out from Rich, but Gen.G survives. Zalia with another
Scatter Arrow.
Root.
Every time somebody walks near one of those walls, Reset almost had a kill of his own. Wubby gonna hold position for now. Still 10 seconds before that Ardent Defender is up. See if they're willing to commit to the fight. Kyocha will go in. Race strikes in, trying to get on there. Last right's gonna be there. Doesn't get the takedown. No Ardent Defender yet, but that will snipe him. Wubby gets sniped at the tail end of that. JBL will get the toss out for Zalia, but now tracking back. Poik, can he survive? Snitch, can he survive? Because JPL living all day long, but and the Scatter Arrow gets the kill.
That is just Gen.G now cleaning up house, 3-0, and with this have the opportunity to deal with that bottom lane pressure. You could see the decision making out from Dig, knowing that they had the Giants down below, maybe catch somebody out in rotation. But Kyocha throughout this game has survived in what feel like impossible circumstances, J-How.
That pulse bomb was so, if that happens, I mean, this is heavily in Dignitas' favor, but Genji able to hold on, and now they've got a DK of their own. 19-18 Dreadnought. Now, when they start getting structures down, the threat of 20 is very real against Dignitas as they're still trying to recover with a couple members still down.
But we have seen in the past that sometimes Genji can get a bit hasty when it comes to their Dragon Knight usage. If they do not have the 20 advantage and make the transfer towards the bottom half, maybe overextending a little bit too early, we'll find out. Dig just ended up getting JPL to join the rest of their ranks. If they have any interest to be able to force the hand, free 20, it's got to be beyond this Dragon Knight, knowing that Kyocha's in there. But for now, we see the Blizzard dropped from Poik to make sure to get as much damage out as possible.
There's not a heavy diving threat beyond the Anubrak, but with the DK and 20 tier, a lot can happen, including the Dragon Zero, so Poik's positioning has to be very cautious. Once this tower falls, 20 will be picked up. JPL kicked into the corner, Snitch being tracked down, he's getting low. Ardent Defender has been used. Wubby able to track out. They survive for now with no keeps down, the toss in, Dread.
Kyocha ends up flipping over and they get the pick there. Twilight Dream goes out, Salvo is going to be used, but Genji finding themselves a double and use this time to now focus the keep. Genji is going to find the first keep, but they might be able to find more than that, posturing like they are going to be able to close out this game. And with only 3 members of Dignitas alive, I am not sure they can stall this out. Keep down, and now Core is their focus.
And here we go. Can Jaina and Tracer do enough to defend here? Snitch trying to get on that backside, knowing that there's so much damage, but the stun comes in. That's 1 member down, and the shields starting to fall on the side of Dignitas. Genji trying to close this out, take game number 1 as Poik has been forced off. Scatter arrow just misses, and it looks like Genji will take game number 1 here over Dignitas.
Team Dignitas came into Dragonshire with a game plan, but Genji very effectively showing why they selected the battleground. Between the fluid laning and the top lane pressure, find a way to get themselves a win condition, but great job here from both teams. Honestly, a bit slower, and when it came to some of the pacing, like than we have seen in a long while when it came to Dragonshire play. But Gen.G, when they turned it up very, very quickly.
You can go back when you watch that snipe of that owl on Wubby, just 1 second away from having his Ardent Defender thinking he's safe. But that snipe was basically the tide turner of that game, and Gen.G was able to just roll from there.
I felt like twice everything hinged on Kyocha. You know, early on, he died, but the moment when he lived, thanks to the Dragon's Arrow from Rich, and then they turned and got a kill, and then past that, how did Kyocha live? And I was like, if you Wraith Strike back in after that Shadow Stalk and everything was used, I will be so angry with you, Kyocha. But thankfully he was like, okay, this time I won't press it.
Yeah, and this actually marks the end of a streak, because since mid-season Brawl, Dignitas have not lost on Dragonshire. But of course, there is no better team to lose that kind of streak to, but
yeah.
Incredible play. But there was also some insane stuff from Zalia in particular, which I really want to highlight in my replay here.
Awesome.
As we have a lovely middle lane fight, which was over to Dragon Knight. Genji have the double capture already. They are prepared. But let's have a quick look at the positioning. Already, we have Malveil hiding way up top there, nowhere near this fight already, whereas Wubby, he is coming in, and he is going to be the saving grace for his team as he is coming in from the bottom lane. He's going to be applying armor to everyone. Let's just run it forward here and start to see the turnaround. Zalia already playing safe and setting up perfectly for Wubby. The route is perfect, picture perfect. They're able to isolate Rich. Even though the Groundbreaker doesn't land, they're still able to get the execution play. And then, not only that, let's run it back a little bit here. While you may have been focusing on the kill of Rich, Zalia is preparing for the next kill. Run it forward again. He's moving forward. He's already got the CC. He's positioning himself to remove the turnaround play with a 3-man Twilight Dream. Zalia's positioning and fight focus throughout this entire game has been absolutely on point.
You know, I said Rich Dragon's Arrow because I'm just so used to him playing Hanzo, but being on Phoenix did make him more vulnerable, and those kinds of routes, being able to catch him, that insane route that caught him out of a warp, was a big reason why Dignitas held in.
Yeah, Zalia was very much, I think, probably one of the only reasons that game was as competitive as it was, because when we look at some of the decision-making when rotation-wise, I feel like Genji was always the one kind of at the forefront outside of maybe that first lane and first matchup over the minion wave when Stitch kind of was the mosquito that was able to get the dismount. But beyond that point, Genji was really, forcing Dignitas to match to them, and anytime you do that on Dragonshire, it's usually a very, very bad time.
How important do you feel this first win is for Gen.G, J-How?
I think it's important, but I think the draft draft was just really good. I mean, when I saw the Phoenix and the Hanzo locked in, and the Tracer is a good pick, but against those two heroes, I mean, you're looking for options that are very difficult to find.
Yeah.
Snitch did everything he possibly could to get those kills. We even saw some killer plays made individually by Poik, but getting in on a team like that and getting those kills, I mean, think about if Kyocha falls on that mouth hill at the beginning of that top fight, it could look like a different game, and that's what drafting can do to you. It's so close, these two teams.
Well, we're going to hear from our sponsors, our amazing sponsors. When we come back, Dig, we'll try to bring it back.
The 2018 HGC Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
Genji gets this first all-important win as we head into Game 2. If we're thinking Team Dignitas would choose first pick now, are we thinking Infernal Shrines perhaps for Genji?
I think, yeah, just something a little bit more comfortable. I don't think there's any battleground that I'm afraid to be able to take on Team Dignitas on, so I'd just be sticking to what I know unless I have that kind of counterplay, you know, big strategy involved. But if I just won game number 1 on Dragonshire, I go stick to the plan, save the pocket strategy, or, you know, the kind of bamboozle moment for whenever it's necessary, not when you're leading.
And the fact that Dignitas lost on Infernal earlier, maybe that's a sign of hope. I mean, Snitch did say, hey, look, we were winning that game. We kind of threw. They were in control. But if I'm Gingy, I think that's a very comfortable map to go to if you do have the map choice. And it's up to Dignitas on whether they do want map choice or that first pick. So I am curious on what that will be. I'm ready to get things going. It's just exciting every step.
That it is. So let's do it. Let's find the battleground, and then we can maybe start postulating as to some of these comfort picks. We are going to Tomb of the Spider Queen, where both teams feel comfortable, both teams pick it. In fact, it's interesting. A lot of the map bans that we see in Korea are deviated to ban Tomb versus Genji. So knowing that now, Tetcher, what do you feel like are some must picks or some must bans maybe away from Genji?
I mean, again, Hanzo jumps up. You've got to be careful just due to the amount of walls on the map. You have a great scatter arrow potential, and otherwise you have to be afraid of that Anubrak. It's another great hard engage map where you can get some really solid angles around in general. And then, of course, you have to be afraid of the solo laners. If you give Kyocha a little bit too much freedom, he is going to dominate and you're going to get ganked a lot.
And one thing that I'm looking at when going into this draft, not so much that there's a necessary pick or anything of the like, but when it comes to what heroes Wubby is going to be on, I feel like we saw early on him kind of get poked and prodded in that top lane. And though that is the strategy of the Eastern scene, I think a little of that is also taking a note out of the midseason brawl and how this team can kind of, you know, struggle a bit more when Wubby does not have that free open range. And so with that in mind, I want to see something that can make a micro transition down to the bottom lane, kind of poke at the front walls, and then once they get that first Webweaver phase, find a way to be able to dive onto that for Genji.
Well, back to the norm with the first pick, Tyrande, Yrel priority not as high, but when I look at Dignitas, I really wonder with the bans on Diablo and Garrosh, if maybe a Johanna comes in pre-second ban for Dignitas, and for Genji, what route do they go down? Because we've seen a lot of Anubrak. We've seen all the Diablos and Garrosh. It's Tyrael? I mean, it just, that opens up a whole new can of worms of what can counter that.
She is starting to rise up into the even mid-bans, though, especially between certain teams and what we've seen even today, Dra.
It very much has. Here is, we get the Deckard, Kane, and the Hanzo coming out from Genji, as you talked about a little bit earlier, Tetcher, the Waveclear that controls. Deckard is very heavy when it comes to zone control itself, and Tomb of the Spider Queen has so many constant rotations between mid to top. It's very likely that that is going to be able to net those kills. And as we said, great job for them to have the Waveclear, at least post 4.
And as we've mentioned earlier in the tournament, Deckard is one of the few heroes who can have an okay matchup into Tyrande, due to Tyrande's Celestial Attunement mostly focusing on stuns and silences, whereas Deckard Kane, he sets up roots, which is something that is not affected, and as such that level 1 cleanse becomes a little bit less viable.
I think it's where Blaze also rises, because you need that bunker. You get caught in a bad situation late, that bunker's there as a safety option, so I agree with you. I think that's why we're seeing this draft unfold the way it is.
Having bunker also means that you're denying it from your opponents too, and things like Pulse Bomb can't be negated by it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and just I wanted to bring back to some of the trends that we've seen over the tournament for Dignitas. This is far more comfort oriented, right? The opening with the Yrel pick on Dragonshire, I feel like it did get a little bit of punishment, but seeing the high Tyrande there for them, they've been one of the highest priority Tyrande teams throughout this tournament, but then getting Wubby back onto that Blaze, I think that's a really good pickup for them, and kind of at least pushes back a bit more on what I was concerned with there towards Genji in that bottom lane.
Going to be seeing the Yorel band out. That does leave the Malthael open, which Genji have shown earlier on, in fact, today against Team Liquid, that they are fine to run. It's a solid map for Malthael. He has great wave clear and has a pretty decent matchup into Blaze as well, and is a fantastic finisher when you already have a setup like Hanzo. But that's not going to be the case. The solo laner, at least, is going to be Leoric.
Well, this also explains the Tracer ban a bit more in detail, because there is no lockdown for Tracer between either of those. And when we look at dive-style heroes, I mean, what else kind of comes to mind for a map like Tomb? Because finding flank positions on the Zeratul that we've seen, it's not as easy. Genji, Tracer are two of the best, so I'm curious how Gen.G or Dignitas will approach this now.
I mean, how do you get on the potential hammer that's going to be backing this is a lot of the
That's
focus
true.
that I'm having is
Yes,
how do you
me
kill
too.
hammer? You have a Leo who's constantly up in the front line, trading very, very well, has the debuff opportunities post 13 into 16, Tyrael with the Sanctification, and Hanzo pushing you back there. Yeah, Lunar Flare might be able to connect, but beyond the pre-cleanse, it's suddenly a very big concern, assuming that every time we've gotten that Tyrael, that Genji has been very comfortable to move into that Sergeant Hammer.
Will they do it? Will they do it? It's Rich's heroes.
Oh!
No, far more aggro for Rich's liking as he brings back Alarak again. I love that finally we're seeing Alarak be tournament meta.
Now, Hammer is fantastic, obviously, in that it already has a huge amount of protection if they had gone for it. But the issue is that Gul'dan pickup by Dignitas does threaten it a bit. It also can punish the Sanctification. Alarak is a lot more independent. He has a lot more self-sustain. And of course, Counter-Strike can really punish corruption. So you can get some really nice turnaround plays there.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that you bring up. I would argue they fully intended to move into the Sergeant Hammer until they see the Gul'dan, and then they go, well, we're very comfortable with the Alarak. It's a direct counter to any mage. We've already talked about that. And Gul'dan likes to toe the line with his health bar. And, you know, Alarak very much enjoys any hero that likes to dabble around the 50% HP range. With that short range with the Fel Flame, that's a telekinesis, one shot, one kill.
Well, that does feel pretty late game for Team Dignitas in the Gul'dan. But my question I want to raise, Jay-How, is Team Dignitas fell behind early game already on Tomb of the Spider Queen before, and yes, they brought it back. But can you do it versus this Gen.G? They've got Leoric, they've got Alarak. These things are going to start stacking up pretty hard.
Well, the wave clear is in their favor. So when you look at the traditional top-mid rotations, and then it's a matter of the bot, the Leo matches the Blaze really well, does well against the Blaze. But so I think it's a matter of who's going to get the rotation up from the bot to the mid lane to get those kills. And when you control the rotations in that mid-top, it does make it easier for decision-making on when you can afford to get those ganks, because you control how fast they can go, and you can position yourself far better in those situations. So if Dignitas doesn't want to get behind, I think it is a matter of they have the better wave clear. It's just a matter of solo lane prioritization.
Well, of course they don't want to get behind, but I want to know, can they get behind? Can they recover if that's the case versus Gen.G?
Alarak against Gul'dan. Alarak is licking his chops, so there's a very real threat.
Right, okay, well, we were ready for the game, but right before that, I was going to get predictions, but never mind, we'll just do it. We're going to get into game 2. Dig trying to bring it back.
Dread, Tomb of the Spider Queen, an EU special. We heard about it just our last series with Dignitas here. They did get behind, but this is where we know EU goes to. This is where they played it on mid-season brawl against this very same team, but the draft's so different.
Very, very different. And the Alarak confidence from Rich in this tournament has been really surprising and also, honestly, just impressive. The caliber that he's been able to execute on that hero. We've talked about for a long time, he's been willing to bring it out against maybe opponents that he's a little bit more confident against, and then he would make it look really, really good. But now to find it in the grand finals, find it all the way throughout the bracket, we'll see if they have what it takes here with this composition to take on Team Dignitas. But first off, we got to get introductions. It's the blue squad. Over here, we're going to have Murden, played by JPL. Wubby, going to be representing on the Blaze. Poik on that Gul'dan, very vulnerable through that, along with Snitch on the Rainer. And last up is Zalia on Tyrande. Let's hear it for Team Dignitas.
Their opponents, they currently sit up 1-0 in this best of 5. It will be Sake on the Deckard, Kyocha on Leoric. Rich will be on the Alarak. All eyes will be on him. Reset on the Hanzo. And we'll have Tist on the front line on Tyrael. Give it up for Genji.
So one thing to keep in mind when we do see the adjustment towards that Alarak for Genji, that often means that they're going to want those kind of, again, a heavy amount of adjustments through their laning situation, so Alarak can find those very small skirmishes to be threatening. Great scroll of ceiling going to land here on the opening clash between these two teams on the mid wave, and they're not done. A telekinesis combo coming out, but Rich finds himself a nice amount of damage there. A Snitch putting out all that pepper.
Snitch is doing his best to try and match him, but Snitch is actually getting caught out here. That's going to be first blood. You could actually see the thought process because he's giving that penetrating round, trying to keep the Alarak at bay, but the back and forth, there's enough healing to get around for Genji to get first blood.
And I was just going to compliment that Team Dignitas has a composition that with the Tyrande and the Murden might have the opportunity to get those early kills to counter those rotations out in what we expect here from Genji. But the fact that level 1 Clash not only lasting as long as it did, but more importantly, the fact that Genji is the one reigning victor and that has got to be a concern here for what seemed like the Western hope of the HGC finals.
Just keeping an eye on the minimap and watching the way that Blaze is rotating around. It's denying the vision of where he's coming from, but Gul'dan stepping too far forward there. Dread, now that's the name of the game. Getting punished early here.
And that is a bigger concern now already on top of what I was highlighting before. Rich didn't even land his damage output. He just used one telekinesis and that Gul'dan is in a very bad position. And that's what I was trying to highlight when talking about the short Fell Flame range. Yes, we did see a small kind of flank there from Rich, but it's not like he has a big enough distance to be a threat only until he gets that corruption. And Echo Corruption going to take a long while. Dignitas realize things haven't been looking too good within the 1-4, so maybe having Raynor join the bottom half to get that matchup into Leoric, but Leo Wraith walks away.
I mean, think about how terrifying it is. Not only are you facing an Alarak, but you're facing Rich on Alarak, and you give up 2 early kills where he's like, thanks for the sadism, I'm even scarier every time I get a kill until you try and take me down, which is hard to do against this team of Gen.G. So that is very empowering for the early game for Gen.G.
Only furthers the snowball into their advantage, but the fact that Genji with this composition is not falling behind in the levels 1 through 4 in the macro front is a very big tell there. Yeah, that did come through a couple of those kills, but now we do have the explosive arrows available for the Hanzo, and that is going to allow Reset to enable the Alarak transitions to a lot greater there. Poik is a large source, if the only source really for the most part on the Waveclear for Team Dignitas, so I'd expect to see Rich try and be able to match him whenever possible and look for a kill.
Kyocho starting to make his rotation up. Blaze in kind there as well, be trying to come up. That will be sniffed out between those two, but the action clearly in these top 2 lanes where Genji has got the early game, and now that they do have, as you said, that level 4, that lane control that we were talking about in draft, Dignitas, you don't have as much. I mean, you have the clear with Gul'dan, but you didn't get anything from it in the early game.
And I was wondering if because of the struggles that we saw from Team Dignitas, if we would see more focus towards that bottom lane, but the fact that it has only been 1 snitch transition, a Raynor is not that threatening in that circumstance, whereas maybe if a Tron is going to be back in that with Xaylia, things would look a little bit different here. So I can't help but feel like Dignitas is kind of scrapping here mentally to try and find a way to deal with some of this pressure, because we're now about 10 gems away from a potential Web Weaver phase in the name of Gen.G. But that night camp is going to demand a couple of answers and make it more kind of decentivized to pick up a Web Weaver phase.
Right now, it seems everybody's calm, trying to make the play, trying to get the rotation. And with Dignitas, Dread, you don't want to make the same mistakes. You can see Snitch instantly, he's like, look, I'm not even willing to land into a combo. He just stops his channel, doesn't want to deal with any of that poke. And right now, Dignitas, they do have that camp pushing mid. Genji's going to respond with their own, and Dignitas, they're not even stepping forward with this Dread.
Yeah, they are moving forward, and Genji had a perfectly timed night camp sitting behind their own wall, so it's going to make it for a very easy clear. And look at this, with the Web Weaver attempt, there's the interrupt there with the Sentinel, not going to allow that. Would have been 49 gems there for Genji. They would have loved to try and align that middle Wizard camp with that Web Weaver phase, as we see the 1v1. Rich now is going to answer back. The Lunar Flare ends up connecting, but no one going to pull the trigger too heavily here. Tyrande and Raynor, not too much kill potential, and Alarak has the opportunity to be able to use that telekinesis both offensively and defensively here. So Genji missed out maybe on the mid lane pressure, but nothing to kind of be too concerned about.
Well, Genji, they will get the first Web Weavers of the game, spawning at around 5 minutes here. So they'll try and get some control, see if they can push their way forward with this composition behind the Alarak, but the wave clear potential of Dignitas, see how much they give up here in this early going.
For now, the focus up towards top. Rich not able to hit the full combo as he pulls Snitch a little bit closer to the danger zone. Web Weaver's now going to descend. Middle is not going to be attended to from either side for now. JPL in the downtime trying to threaten back. Combo coming out. Tyrande's going to be the focus. Xaylia able to kite away, dropping a couple of his own heals.
Even shielding the minions here is Genji, using every bit of their composition with this Tiro to try and empower that push. They keep turning their attention. I mean, if you're a Murden, you're extremely tanky, but the minute you get that Dwarf Toss interrupted, you have no escape at that moment. That's something that if a telekinesis is timed right, that Murden might not be able to make it out. So roaming by himself, drawing some attention is good, but it's always, you've got to be careful what you get there.
And look at this collapse from down below in the night camp. You're going to see Kyoto flanking. If anybody oversteps, Snitch is going to be the first focus, but he's not going to go down, at least not yet. Scatter Arrow connects there from Gen.G, and they find a third kill of this game quickly. Is able to transfer that focus now onto the middle fort and further the race to 10 in Gen.G's favor.
Yeah, that's a massive XP gain right there. Getting that fort down, it's just going to empower more. You get 10, you're going to be short of those gems, 31 out of 55 there. But they have control of the battleground. They can be aggressive. They can move forward. They can grab camps. And there's really nothing that Dignitas can do. They don't have the firepower to get that blow-up kill. Yes, they have the Murd and Tyrande, but when you have a Gul'dan and a Raynor behind there, and a Gul'dan that's nowhere near stacked, only 14 stacks so far, you're not getting that kill threat for a while.
Yeah, you're just begging to have a Horrify opportunity, because that is a lot of where that kill potential comes until Gul'dan can scale to those later stages. The silver lining here for Team Dignitas is the fact that Genji does not have a Web Weaver phase opportunity with their heroic spike. Dignitas can reliably find their own heroics for themselves and get a counter turn in, but it's very important that they make something happen with that. And with the Gul'dan being such a big focus of that wave clear, I do think it might be a little bit too easy for Rich to try and focus him down once more.
Jordan,
I know.
To alarm anybody, but that's not a Dragon Arrow there. That is a Dragon Strike locked in here, so we'll see how that plays out here in a moment.
Interesting selection, and honestly, I struggle to be able to look for a major argument for it, other than it's a great counter into the bunker itself whenever that comes out. A lot of damage output for anybody who wants to try to get the retreat, and that's something we've seen Dig do a lot. They love to use the micro there of that bunker, and maybe that trickle-in damage over the long run of the Dragon Strike. When you're all, hunkered down, it's a pretty easy target.
Well, there's going to be some lockdown. Lornado will buy space. Rich backs away. JPL zoning off Kyoja, who's lurking around, trying to land something on the back line. Dignitas moves forward, trying to make a play of their own, but Kyoja and team, they stand their ground, they hold, and they will force Dignitas back one more time.
And it is a strategy that we have seen out of the Eastern scene in the past with the Dragon Strike, but it has very often been out of the Korean region to pair it with that Entomb. When you lock everybody in, especially post 20, it's a bad time. Like, you are buried alive, you're just eating so much damage there. But I will say an ounce of skepticism still going to be displayed here, at least on my half. Web Weavers now are going to join Gen.G over this next siege. Wizard and the Night Camp picked up here. JPL trying to get the damage. Counter-Strike used. Wubby now going to be the focus. There's the bunker.
There it is.
Dragon Strike is going to go through with the Entomb. Silence out, and look at that. Blaze is killed.
Perfectly timed, perfectly played there to get that kill, and it couldn't come at a better time because the Web Weavers are descending. Avatar forced to be used. We see the horrifying response by Snitch to try and get the save. Dignitas Dreadnought, they are not dealing well with the pressure from Genji here as it's 4 kills to 0. Web Weavers spawning, and now these will push down more structures, and Dignitas just struggling to get some control over this battleground.
Some control or some kind of footing, and I will say that, the one silver lining again on their half. Hold on, Tis maybe too far there trying to get the anchor might be the fact that there is no Dragon's Arrow initiation. Yeah, Hanzo is still very functional here with the Dragon Strike itself, but not having that long-range initiation might be something that Dignitas can try and get that Tyrande poke and prod inward. But it does feel like this game is quickly getting out of control. 13 talents here, no forts for Dignitas at all, and Gen.G now joining this bottom Web Weaver. Once this front wall goes down, maybe look for a kill, as Rich making even that gate seem like not a safe place for Dignitas.
Just playing around with the Eldruins there, getting back and forth. Will continue to make plays throughout this game, but with Dignitas Dreadnought 2 levels down, they're not too far off from that 13, but we've seen teams that your window is so small because Gingy, they're playing for that 16 talent tier advantage, and Dignitas, they've struggled to move forward, move aggressively and find it. They have not yet found the kill, and now Dignitas, they sniff this out. They see that the boss is being claimed by Gen.G, so Gen.G will leash it for now.
But now they're going to be able to try and focus on Dignitas here. Wubby's the focus for now. A lot of damage coming through, forcing out that jet propulsion. Poik is on an island. There's the Entomb. Ends up getting dropped. He gets into the bunker. The Dragon Strike there. Sanctification is dropped, waiting for the escape there of Poik. And the answer is it will not be an escape. Wubby seems to be the focus. Shadow's
horrified.
Poik is surviving there a lot longer than anyone expected. Sentinel not able to get the pick on to Rich. Wraith walk out from Kyocha, and Gen.G find another victim on Tomb.
They seem to have the answers. The Tyrael, even the Dragon Strike, all calculated for the approach of Dignitas, knowing they love that bunker use, love to try and snipe people down. Gingy, they'll retreat back, regroup there. See if Dignitas can maybe try and get a turn in. They need to stop the bleeding. They don't have 13 yet, but they have been pushed back every single engagement.
But Dignitas has the opportunity to maybe find a way with those web weavers in this 13 talent tier window before the 16 talent tier is achieved by Gen.G, because I feel like if it gets to that point, this game may be far too far out of control. Not only in experience, but the structural integrity so far. Gen.G still kind of looking for a web weaver phase of their own. Only 4 gems in their hands, so it's going to be a long while until that is a problem for Dig. This is their moment to strike, Jay Howe, if they have had one throughout any point of this game.
Yeah, even talent tiers, you have the lane control, getting these clears, getting the vision, but Genji is going to do their best to counter. They'll hold this mid lane with that night camp, gives them vision, gives them the rotation between that top and bottom turn-in, but that's a very good sign there at the top left. Completing that echoed corruption will allow you to put out more damage in these team fights and be more of a threat to get these kills, because they need every ounce that they can get right now.
They very much do. Tis actually going to move up. He's going to quickly move out thanks to that level 13 pickup there from him, the Sword of Justice. With this downtime, Gen.G has been able to stall out long enough to maybe not threaten too much. Out of position a little bit too far. Tis constantly going, you know, if you want to sit out too far, if you make one misstep, we're going to be able to drop the Sanctification. But in the downtime, you know, they're able to just kind of feign that. And the fact that you always have that coming your way if you are Team Dignitas, it's very, very scary, because now we're not only just worried about Rich, we aren't worried about when our bunker goes down because of the Dragon Strike, we're also worried about whether or not the Sanctification is coming at pretty much any moment in ideal circumstances.
Well, Dread Dignitas, they're looking at 16 coming for Gen.G, and they know that there's almost enough gems now for Gen.G to get another turn in, to play with that 16 talent tier advantage and now start playing for keeps. And so Gen.G will pick up another web weaver phase. Dignitas still holding on. They have the Waveclear with the Gul'dan, but make no mistake about it, with the composition of Gingy and that Alarak, this game can go from losing one keep to losing the game very rapidly. So Dignitas, a soft approach with that Gul'dan, just try and get as much clear as they can and just try and hold on until they can get 16 of their own.
And Dignitas realizes that the situation is very dire and able to use the information of Genji on the mid lane to get as much damage on the top half, with the web weaver taking so long to find its happy little feet there on to the ground of Tomb of the Spider Queen. They didn't get really that much damage output through. Corruption likely going to be thrown out eventually for Poik. We'll see how much damage he can kind of get back here, but the focus is going to be onto the keep front wall for Gen.G. Bottom web weaver will become a problem over the next 20 seconds. Rich finds a combo there onto Snitch. Now JPL moves up. No Stormbolt going to connect this time.
Just to try and get the zoning, they get that. They hold on to that keep wall. So Gul'dan really showing his strength here. Now the attention will be turned towards the middle. Part of that keep wall is down. The corruption goes out, focusing onto that web weaver. Dignitas, they're holding, but Genji moving forward. There's the combo landing, but not before JPL was able to get the dwarf toss out.
Tis once again kind of feigning if they want to execute with a... Oh, look at that Wubby actually. Jet Propulsion not going to land. Kyocha not going to drop that Wraith walk any sooner, but the combo goes down. We're not going to see the silence land out from Rich onto JPL, but the focus is still there. Stormbolt lands, but the damage from Reset is there, and they find themselves another kill, 6-0, as Gen.G is dismantling not only Dignitas,
there's a
but
combo
their face.
Into the Entomb. Poik getting bodied out of there. Poik goes down. Dragon Strike comes in. That's another member down. Wubby trying to zone off. The keep still holds, so they're actually taking shots. Is Gen.G. Gen.G moving forward. Another combo is going to land there. Wubby somehow survives. Gets the jet propulsion out, but it's not enough. Sanctification goes down. Gen.G moves forward.
They move forward, but telekinesis is not going to be on cooldown to be able to knock back Rich. Now the focus seems to be over towards the keep. They know that Xaylia is kind of left alone, but able to mount up. No dismount available, and Xaylia survives. But the second keep here on the bottom half of the battleground for Dignitas will very much not focusing enough onto mid to be able to secure it for you. So actually first keep of the game, but having that macro pressure on bottom, and more importantly, the man advantage, Gen.G wastes no time. They go up to clear mid.
At Dignitas, there's still one member down, and Ancient Blessings used to try and burst this keep down and try and take a 2-keep advantage, and it looks like mission accomplished. Dignitas still yet to hit 16, and so now they are in a very difficult spot. JPL moves forward. Lornado will say, not this time, as Genji in complete control of game number 2.
And Dignitas does have enough gems for even a double web weaver phase if they can somehow find a way to gain any amount of control back onto this battleground, but with the catapults constantly mounting throughout the mid lane, it's unlikely to do that, and that's why we see this moment of desperation, relying on the Horrify to try and find a way to get this. But Jay, I gotta raise the fact that that Dragon Strike is gonna be very valuable in 18 seconds. Point falling low, the combo ends up coming through. Rich is now gonna be the focus.
There goes the bunker. See if we get the response there. Counter-strike not going to land on anybody, but Rich will eat a lot of damage. Poik still low, has to be careful with the positioning. JPL still manning the front line. The stuns come in. There goes one member down. That's actually Poik that fell. And Kyocha somehow has 9 lives, but he does finally fall there. Wubby, though, in a bad spot. Snitch taking all the damage from the Dragon Strike. And right now it is 2 for 1 in favor of Genji.
Silence goes down, telekinesis through, and now 3 for 1 in their favor. And oh my goodness, reset with that Dragon Strike placement was so good. Snitch had nowhere to run other than dealing with that pesky dragon. 3 members down, and Genji are going to waste no time going now towards the core of Team Dignitas. They have the Sanctification, they have the Counter-Strike if it's going to be a problem. JPL doing his best here on the Muradin to go in, but quickly is going to be removed here, and it looks like the damage is enough, J-Howe.
Snitch trying to buy time because Poik is here, has the Horrify. He has to land something clutch, but the Sanctification goes down. 70% falling. Poik comes in. Horrify lands. That's going to be a kill under reset, but Poik is now the target. He's going to fall. Snitch comes in. Trying to get there. Snitch gets the heal off of a 16. They're holding for now. 45% falling. Dignitas, they're trying to hold Dread.
Tyrael passive will be able to do about 5 to 10%. Wubby ends up dropping bunker. The flame thrower is being thrown down. Kyocha survives. Snitch now trying to cut back, focusing on the Tis, and that is going to be Wubby now next to drop. They do get Tyrael with that passive. Now minions are going to be mount 20% and counting. Gen.G is just feeling like they are playing with their food at this point because they have the damage available. They are going to take game number 2 here against Team Dignitas and take a lead in this series 2-0.
Dignitas did everything that they could to try and survive, but the overwhelming pressure from minute 1, Dreadnought, of Genji lasted the entire game. That is a shutout. Dignitas was not able to get a single Webweaver phase in that game.
And they weren't even able to get a kill for what felt like forever when looking at this battleground. Gen.G, I mean, adjustments when it came to the heroic selection, the talent selection, but they were just looking good.
I raised some concerns about trying to get to the late game, and it wasn't just draft specific, it's Gen.G specific. Gen.G can snowball better than anybody in the world in Heroes of the Storm. Tetcher, can you give us some insight? Because you are the Dragon Strike master. You're the analyst here who commentates China. There's a lot more Dragon Strike there. What's up with this heroic?
There's almost no situation where Dragon Strike can really gain value except if you have that kind of setup where I believe the nickname for it is like the Dragon's Den, where you have the Entomb into Dragon Strike. But the other advantage you can get from the heroic is, as you guys so perfectly pointed out in the game, a zoning tool, massively punishing Snitch throughout multiple times in that game. But of course, when they got that one combo down as well, the damage output was just too much for Dignitas to deal with, especially when you're having to try and play around the zoning potential of that against an Alarak, who is perfect for punishing heroes who get out of position.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and I really think that that Sword of Justice pickup at 13 had a lot higher impact than I feel like at first glance you would see. When you're in that type of game, you're always going, where's the Sanctification going to be a problem? And the fact that Tis is like, he's on your backline, he's not on your backline, and you'll never know when he's going to pull the trigger. It's intimidating.
Did I just hear you
Yeah,
be okay?
I just complimented something other than Holy Ground at 13 against Syria. I know, it's the first time in about 4 years.
Look, I know we haven't commentated together for a while, Dreadnought, but like things have changed. I'm confused by what's happening right here. As I'm confused by what's happening out there. Did you see that segue? Yeah, nailed it. J-How, we saw Dig come in and they said they learned so much in their semifinal, and so did Gen.G. What is happening right now? How is it that Gen.G is 1 game away already from winning another BlizzCon?
It really feels like it is a matter of skill, but they're evenly skilled. But the drafts, I don't think anybody expected the Alarak. I think every single person on this panel expected the Sergeant Hammer, and it's like, all right, Gul'dan seems like a safe pick to deal with something. But then Alarak comes in, it's like, oh wait, we still have a pretty good flex player on the other team. So Rich was able to do that. The drafting in the first game, trying to get the pulse bombs onto targets that are almost unkillable. It was very difficult, I think, in these first 2 games for the draft and the game plan for Dignitas to really come out because Genji has done such an incredible job countering it.
And shoutouts to Noblesse. We
Yeah.
have to keep giving shoutouts to Noblesse because he has been a big reason why Genji's drafts have gotten to this point, to a point of one game away from another global championship. Dignitas have to dig deep. They have to find anything they possibly can, because if they don't figure it out, they're going home. We'll be back with more of the HGC Finals.
The 2018 HGC Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA. Check out the new Blizzard Esports mobile app. For the first time ever, all Blizzard Esports content can be found in one place. Get the latest news and schedules for your favorite events all year long. Set alerts for tune-in reminders so you can watch live, and check scores to stay up to date. You can even tailor the look of the app to match your favorite game, and look forward to even more features coming in 2019. Download the Blizzard Esports mobile app now. Welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games. New for the second season, we're proud to introduce HGG Cheer. Cheering is a way to show support for players and while boosting your presence in chat using bits, a virtual good you can buy on Twitch. Along the way, you'll unlock Hearthstone packs, new Twitch emotes, and a unique card back, while the players earn a share of the revenue. We'll see you in the tavern.
In the Overwatch League, you're hyping up the chat, taking your team to hashtag trending, and spreading memes at tracer level speed.
All while watching us cap the point.
Speed like that deserves a network that can keep up. With T-Mobile, get all the Overwatch League you can handle with coast-to-coast coverage. Now your arena is where you make it.
welcome back to the Heroes Global Championship Grand Finals, where our current world champion is one game away from making a repeat happen. I'm Gilly Reed, and I'm here with Dreadnought, J-How, and Tetcher. And Tetcher, I'm going to start with you. Drafting on point, gameplay perfect. Are there any weaknesses to this team?
You've got to look at it and wonder, because the fact is we have seen other teams already do it in this tournament. Team Liquid already doing it during the group phase and in the bracket phase. But right now, this looks like a completely different team. We mentioned it right at the start. When finals come around, Genji always performs.
But that's an important point that you make, because Team Liquid and Team Dignitas are not the same team.
Nope.
Is it more of a strategical, that works sort of like a rock, paper, scissors situation? Team Dignitas, I've heard Wolf say many times, is the most Korean European team that we have.
It feels they're the most Korean European team that we have. I would say that game one was much closer than meets the eye. I think the outcome was pretty easily determined towards the end, but I think it was much closer. Game number two, though, was just a shellacking. I mean, they just dominated that entire game. From the minute they got those first two kills, it felt like Dignitas was like, wait a minute, we can't step forward at all. And that passive approach put them behind so far that every time they got a chance to come back, there was one major play, one heroic named Dragon Strike, apparently, that was able to stop a lot of that.
And I very much agree with you that, you know, game number one and game number two looked far worse when looking at Team Dignitas. But I think when we kind of scaled that with some of the struggles that we've seen of Gen.G in the past and when they look the best, I brought it up at the very beginning. How comfortable is Rich? We get him on a Phoenix, you know, it looks a little sketchy, not as clean cut. You put him on an Alarak, you're gonna have a bad time. I think Dignitas, if they're gonna find any way, it's gonna be limiting Rich in the hero pool here. And that seems maybe asking too much, considering they got that last pick adjustment to go into the Alarak once more, and then they might overcommit into the draft to limit him. But at this point, that's the only consistent pattern we've gotten from this roster.
Well, twice we've seen them ban Genji, a lot of Genji focus, and then somewhat on the Warriors. Let's see what adjustments they make going forward into our next battleground. Game 3 will take place on Infernal Shrines, still chosen by Genji. Team Dignitas sticking to their guns, sticking to a first pick, and they had to know that this map was coming.
Yeah, it's very likely that they expected this to be the battleground selection here, and coming into this, I think that, you know, it's very clear that we have to be concerned with the Kerrigan. She is very new and improved, and she is a threat for any roster. I would expect that to be more for Dignitas because of their Tyrande value, and hopefully they can find a way to be able to get some sort of mix-up here. Otherwise, I fear we are going to be looking at the same circumstances that we experienced over game number 2.
We may be seeing that, but the fact is this is a map where we can see a lot of Rich favorite heroes coming in. This is a very solid Sergeant Hammer map. We can see him going on to the Hanzo again. It gets a little bit less value because it'll still be very effective with that Dragon Arrow as a follow-up. But overall, Dignitas have been known to bring out some very interesting things on this map in the past. But for now, Genji will be removed.
You know, I think it's time that we bring up the hero that is the ultimate game changer. And that is Medivh. This is a very good Medivh map. And if you're going to give up a Sergeant Hammer, then a Medivh is one way to instantly close that gap. And the last time these two teams faced at mid-season brawl was a Stitches Medivh comp. See if we get that here.
You mentioned the Stitches. The fact is JPL has brought it out at so many events, and sometimes it has been a series changer. And of course, it synergizes so well with this Tyrande that Dignitas have started their draft out with.
That's a high priority for Tyrael, though it has been climbing. Is this maybe an anticipation for that potential Kerrigan?
I think not only is it a little bit of the anticipation of the Kerrigan, but it also puts them in the prime position that if it doesn't get ended up selecting, they have a very good synergy into it. And then let's be real here. We talked about the last draft, how when we see the Tyrael, we expect the Sergeant Hammer. This now should force one of those two bans on the Alarak or the Sergeant Hammer to Team Dignitas. And either way, you can't get rid of both of them. And so I think it would be in their best interest to focus on whatever one they think they can kill the easiest. And honestly, I'm not so sure. I think that the Sergeant Hammer may be the biggest concern, or excuse me, not the Sergeant Hammer, but the Alarak, because it counters the melee, whereas you have the counter-strike opportunities, whereas the Hammer, a little bit easier to get onto if you flank.
If you can bait out the siege tactics, then of course Kerrigan is a fantastic hero against Sergeant Hammer, but in this case, it seems they are more scared of the range and the knockback of Hammer, the inability to try and dive, especially with a Tyrael protection, than they are of that potential Alarak.
I don't blame him. I mean, I don't want to deal with that Sergeant Hammer, but Yrel does so much to control that front line. Every time Kerrigan comes in, she's going to be met with a giant hammer, and that will be swung by Kyocha, who seemingly has been unkillable, it seems like, and even when he dies on Leoric, it's definitely for trait value, so we'll see where Dignitas comes in. With Kerrigan picked up, it means that there will be very unlikely no Medivh, because that is his hero, so tank and offlane is what we need. Do we get a
Oh!
Yeah!
When in doubt!
Yes!
Hook him out! Oh, wait 1 minute!
We got baited really hard, but in this case, look at this setup, the isolation potential of Hook, Tyrande stuns, Kerrigan stuns, add in a little bit of Medivh ley lines here to isolate that hero. They might be able to pick off basically anyone here, including Tyrael, if they can keep the stun lock going.
Though it is a very appealing and kind of long-standing strategy, and Dignitas is probably the best in the world to watch it unfold. This is still a very bold move on their behalf. The Tassadar as the last selection from Gen.G to be able to provide not only the shielding capabilities to help enable that Rainer, but more importantly, removing another hook target. Between the Tyrael and the Tassadar, there's very few, only 3 kind of accessible targets there for that Medivh Stitches combo.
I got so baited, I got so excited because I've just been waiting for this combo for so long, mainly just the JPL Stitches. But last time I got really excited about the kidnapping combo, that didn't even come into play, and I think that was at the mid-season brawl. We had the Medivh, we had Stitches, but it was Putrid Bile instead, so I'm not gonna ask us if that is the strategy that gets them a win in the grand finals, but I do want to know what your thoughts on it, and if you think it's gonna get Dig a win.
Even if it is the Putrid Bile, JPL Stitches is reliable. As I mentioned, it is a series changer. If Dignitas can execute the CC after the hook, then I don't think there's anyone on the side of Genji who can survive, especially if they isolate the rest of the team away from the hook target. Dignitas, the burn of execution is very much on them, but this is a comp that can work if they are feeling confident and if they play to perfection.
Well, that's the thing is I don't even think you have to. I think it's possible if you need it, but I don't think you have to. I think Putrid Bile does do well here. Tassadar, great for the map as he stacks up his Psystorm, gets damage on there, can help keep people alive, but it's not like Kerrigan's under some immediate threat by anybody on this composition. A little CC from Deckard, some from Yarel, and maybe a knockback. I don't think Kerrigan is necessarily like, boy, we better get one shot, one kill here with all these portals. They could just very much just bully their way in and walk forward and just use that portal to just hit that backline and go in with Putrid Bile right out of the gate.
And the one concern that I have when looking at this draft on the side of Gen.G is the fact that last time we saw them on Infernal Shrines and their opponents be able to pick up the Kerrigan, they did not identify whether or not they had the opportunity to really take a trade there against Team Liquid over the objective, and I would argue that's part of the reason that game was as competitive as it was. If they don't end up doing that in this situation, or if you even just kind of act like you have interest around the Kerrigan, the Medivh is very likely to be able to force your hand there. So Gen.G has to clean things up a little bit, I think, when looking towards Infernal Shrines with Dignitas composition. Otherwise, they'll get a one shot and a big kill there.
Well, I want to ask all of you out there watching right now, do you believe in Team Dignitas? Good. They need it. They need your energy. They need your support. Because for Team Dignitas, the reverse sweep starts right now.
Speaking of reverse sweep, Dreadnought, I got some good advice in the last 5 minutes or so. It says you can't reverse sweep unless you go down 0-2.
So all calculated and planned here is what you're saying here from Team Dignitas.
That's what it feels like. I mean, the crowd knows. I mean, if the crowd knows, we know. And right now they're rallying their support behind this Dignitas team that, you know, it was Game 3 at Midseason Brawl. They're doing it Game 3 here on Infernal Shrines, trying to make the Medivh Stitches composition work. And this time they've got the Kerrigan in the mix. This is the reworked, reformed Kerrigan. It's time to go.
It is time to go. As you said, here we are in game number 3, Infernal Shrines, and starting on the blue side. The man himself on the Stitches. It is going to be JPL, Wubby on that Kerrigan. We have Poik playing the Hanzo, Snitch on the Medivh, and last we have Zalia on the Tyrande. Give Team Dignitas your energy!
One game away from a three-peat here at Global Championships. Here for Heroes will be Sake on the Deckard. Kyocha on the front line will be on Yarel. Rich will be on that Rainer, which means Reset will be on the Tassadar, and Tist on the front line on Tyrael. Give it up for Genji.
Hook already lands, combo goes down, Rich gets the combo, and look at that, Dignitas find first blood in a matter of seconds.
I'd say that energy was transferred pretty quickly from the crowd there as they come out hot and firing right now. And then quick portal over, looking for another one. They get onto Kyocha. Kyocha gets hooked right back, and right now that is a 2-kill advantage in 40 seconds.
Team Dignitas coming out swinging here with the clutch combos between the Medivh, the Kerrigan, and the Stitches there. It was so difficult for anybody to walk away. You get a little bit this way, Kerrigan's got you. Get a little bit that way, Stitches has got you. Team Dignitas displaying the synergy here. But it's important to note that this is just the first 2 couple of kills. Genji not expecting that early hook onto Rich, but it definitely comes with a big experience advantage for now.
Dread, the crowd electric after those first 2 kills. We'll see if they can keep it up. I mean, think about the first 2 kills they got on Tomb. It was very far into the game. This time, Dignitas saying, hey, it's our turn to come out firing. Right now, with that experience lead, Dignitas in control, clearing these lanes, a threat at every step of the way. There's going to be a hook. Dimensional shift will get out, and you mentioned it, Dreadnought. It creates one less hook target, but even if you do get hooked, you just mash that E button, get out of there.
But I think there's something to look at now, and seeing that first kind of happen there with the dimensional shift use after the hook. If that happens around a Shrine, J-How, there's a Kerrigan combo behind it. There are so many crowd control tools by Team Dignitas in this composition that I suddenly wonder, can the Tassadar even be that famed target where you get the dimensional shift? Because likely he is just going to go down so very quickly. His health pool he feels like a piece of paper. The guy gets torn apart very, very quickly.
It's going to be important. I mean, you would think that maybe a force wall might come in at some point, but you need that extra dimensional shift. So Archon, always great. And then post 20, we've seen Archon do some magical things post level 20. We'll see if we even get there. Right now, Dignitas picking up the camps, controlling the lanes. They have about a half-level lead and climbing as we're about 35 seconds away from that first Shrine kicking off.
And as I talked about a bit before the game had kicked off, is whether or not, you know, this is a good decision to be able to match into the Shrine for Genji. I don't think it's impossible, but the way that they approach the Shrine needs to be very succinct. It needs to be very coordinated, and more importantly, when the initiation attempts come out from Dignitas, they have to respond better than they did over those last 2, because as we saw, that led to very quickly a double kill for Dignitas.
Yeah, Genji has done an amazing job of countering a lot of engagements from basically every team, but when there's a portal dropping in on your backline, that makes it much more difficult to counter because it's really a matter of survival.
It is a matter of survival, and now with Snitch making his way up, survival will be the focus. The hook not going to land there yet for JPL. Will Snitch down there onto the Medivh. Will be able to pick 32 skeleton defenders up, goes in for a combo, but Kyocha knocks him back there with a nice thwack of the hammer. Getting the clear now onto the Shaman. That race will be slightly won. Portal goes down. Wabi looks for a combo. It's going to land there. Luna Flare comes out and no dimensional shift available. Again, Tassadar ripped apart, but look at that. The shield, the force of will on Azalea, allowing him to survive here. Dignitas is clutching out this fight.
Yeah, they identified that, just missing on another combo there. Kyocha able to sidestep that, goes back in, doesn't have the level 7 cooldown, but with that kill, Dignitas will have the numbers advantage, move directly up. It's Tassadar now respawning, making his way back up, seeing if Wabi and team can take this. Kyocha goes in, the hammer, the knockback, they're going in on a Snitch. Snitch just gets out of the portal and survives for now. Wabi does not.
Wabi not making it out, and that is a lot of their Shrine control J-How, and they need still 13 more. Rich falling very low, gets the Tassadar shield, gets the heals there from Sake and friends. JPL now mounted up, looking for maybe a hook opportunity. Only 11 skeletal defenders necessary there for Team Dignitas. They do not want to give up this Punisher, but they are down a Kerrigan for another 10 seconds. We'll see if Gen.G can push them back. 34, only 6 remain, and there we see the initiation from Tis.
The dive in, you can see, is always going to be threatened. Here comes the portal back out, still has that lead. The double stun is going to land. Dignitas moving back forward. Kerrigan almost here. Can they get this? 33 for Gen.G. Dignitas trying to take it all in. Early game, here they go.
Look at that, they're all in, and now Kyocha actually falling very low. Point able to take the 1-1. The hook comes through on to Sake as he gets reeled right back in there, and Dignitas get a Punisher and a double kill.
Got him!
Great hook combo there from Dignitas. Punisher leap baited over the wall and dimensional shift force. And J-How, I feel like when talking
about... Here we go, they're going in for more!
They're not done. Rich, juke number 1, can't juke that one. And
got him!
For Dignitas, they are on a tirade here in the top lane.
You break the game when you bring Medivh in, and they snuck it in. They said, look, we know you think that Snitch is the Kerrigan player, but it is Wabi coming in. Portal kills for days as Dignitas. It's kills for days. That's going to be 8 kills. You know what? Let's make it 9.
Back here is what Dignitas keeps saying as Genji is trying to claw themselves back to their own base, showing no mercy. Now 9-1. Tis throwing down the Eldruins, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it out. Shows up on one side, and he's going to meet himself a Wubby. Dignitas, they took the response of game 2 and said, we can do it too, J-How.
My goodness, this game, almost a 2-level lead in absolute dominance here in the first 6 minutes as Dignitas is swarming Genji.
They are very much swarming, and now that experience, control, and advantage really is so far out of the realm of possibility for Genji to hit heroics within a reasonable time frame that this game, I don't want to say that it's over, but it very much is difficult for them to find ways to claw back. The macro game is not great from Team Dignitas, and that is probably the biggest crux of this style of composition. So that is, if you are a Genji, you're looking to find ways to take advantage of that, and things like the Tasin and his Waveclear are what you can try to rely on. But Raynor doesn't have that much Waveclear of his own. Urel, not that great on itself, so it's not like Dignitas is going, don't get out macro, don't get out macro. They're just going to keep bringing those portals, and more importantly, the rest of the squad through it.
Who can blame them? Here comes some portals. The Dragon Arrow comes in, and that's enough for Genji to see themselves out because they want none of that. And Dreadnought, there is always that question like, oh, we missed, but then you realize it's a 70-second cooldown. Look, Genji's, they're not making it up to 10, so that is a cooldown. Look, you went for it. That play just explodes this game even further. That will be back in time for the next fight. Rest assured about that.
And we do see that it is Leyline Seal as the selection there for the Medivh, and that will help enable when one hook comes in to find multiple kills, that it is not just a one-stop shop here. 4 Stitches and JPL there, the man repping those hooks. You're all in the downtime.
They got minions. Here they go.
The portal.
They're in.
No hook gonna be out yet. Tis, combo 2, a lot of crowd control, but Eldruins saving the day there. Post 13 gonna be a bit easier on that one, but Dignitas, when they can't find kills on people, they find them on structures.
Wubby still trying to make those plays, using those Ravages, getting the resets, moving in aggressively, always looking to combo off of that. This is a different Kerrigan now than we had before, and just continue to make the plays, using the portal in again. 10, however, Dreadnought cannot come quick enough for Gingy, and that will be soon, and it will come right around the same time the Shrine kicks off.
But if Genji decides to attend this middle shrine with Team Dignitas and how big of an advantage that they have, and they fail in the same way that all of these skirmishes have so far, Dignitas is going to be so far ahead, near 3, almost 4 level leading, and so far ahead in structures that Gen.G is just going to be pleading, it feels like, for anything here at this point in time. So we'll see if they decide to match them, and if so, if they have that success.
Well, here it goes. Heroics here picked up for Gen.G. Dignitas no longer that talent tier advantage. Look for them to try and make the play. We saw that hook about 5 seconds ago. Give it another 7 or 8 seconds. See if he makes another attempt. JPL and team, they move forward. They are swarming. The combo just misses onto Kyoja. In comes Tisk looking to try and initiate, as does Kyoja.
18 skeleton defenders at 10. Wubby now in a bad spot. Receives the force of will. Point falling pretty low. Wubby's going to be the focus though, and he's actually going to go down. Leyline Seal only stalling on 1 as the Dragon's Arrow connects. Tisk is the focus, but he's got the Sanctification. He follows up onto the Eldruins as they damage out on Zalia, and Gen.G now fighting back here over mid-shrine.
Got in control with that double kill, and now they'll turn their attention back towards the Shrine. Probably not enough time for Dignitas to get back into this race. Poik trying to snipe a few, just trying to see if he can get enough time for his team to get back on the battleground. Right now, Genji in control, looking to pick up their first Punisher of the game, and this will be an Arcane Punisher Dreadnought, one of the more threatening ones.
Now we got to be looking at the damage kind of situation with this Punisher going over. How much anti-siege does Dignitas have? Stitches, not too bad himself when it comes to dealing with the objective. Hanzo, pretty good in the clear, but Kerrigan, Medivh, Tyrande, oh, you know, not the greatest. Maybe in the world of supports, Tyrande's an outlier, but still not the easiest defense here. So likely Gen.G to be a bit more aggressive, especially if they can find those late game Punishers. But Leap 1 is out. We'll see if Leap 2 can net anything here for Gen.G and friends.
The sentries come down, as does the Lornado. JPL will use the Putrid Bile. Starting to fall. That portal already used. Wubby and team seeing if they can make up ground. JPL trying to see if he can find a hook target.
Dragon Arrow!
The Dragon Arrow into the stun. Ardent Defender has been used. Kyocha will survive for now, but he's going to get reeled back in, and that's going to be a kill. Here comes a portal, Dread.
You hear the crows a calling, but Genji trying to get away. Hook is up in a few seconds, dodges onto the Lunar Flare. Kerrigan combo comes through, and Tis goes down. Dignitas finding 12-3 in terms of kill, a full level advantage with this 13 talents here. Though they lose the Punisher, very much not losing the game here on Infernal Shrines.
It's up to Dignitas now to try and push towards that 16. They can keep up the pressure, try and get those picks, but they want to play towards that 16 talent tier advantage and the momentum. Every time it seems like Genji starts to claw back, Dignitas has an answer. Rich pushing forward. There are still towers, no minions to move forward, but the threat of a Medivh and a portal, you can see even using the Psystorm Dreadnought just to get vision and dismounts to try and disrupt this freight train of Dignitas.
Yeah, you can't dismount that Raven hovering above, though, and that is a big problem for Genji, giving a lot of vision and information control over to Dignitas to help enable those Stitches hooks. And normally when you say that, you're like, you know, he's pretty good at making that happen, but then when you start considering the fact that there's a Sentinel as well, you got double the angles. I mean, it feels like JPL has got, you know, it feels like a cheat, if you will, when it comes to the mini-map. Currently, Dignitas is able to see far more than that of Gen.G. And Genji, with this 13 being acquired, they need to find a way. They have to find a way to force before the 16 threshold is achieved by Dignitas.
Well, there's Tist making use of that level 13 again, Dread. The dive in, dive out. It's not nearly as threatening as we saw last game. A lot of counter options for Dignitas as Dignitas moves forward, but Poik, the target, will use the natural agility and get over there as Dignitas starting to near that 16 talent here, and Genji would love a fight in the next few moments if they can find the right opportunity. But as you said, the Raven lurking above their heads will keep a keen eye on them from their aggression.
Sentinel goes out. It's only going to get the reveal onto one there. Urel, Kyocha off in the offlane, dealing with Wubby. 16, as we talked about, is being picked up. And it seems like Gen.G realized with that Raven above that they are not able to force that fight too very easily. Now we do see Urel actually making the transition out, but that Sentinel does scout out Kyocha. So Dignitas understand the circumstances, back out, and now look to get that macro pressure on the opposite side of the battleground here as the objective itself. Now Gen.G has a lot of very, very tough questions to answer.
Yeah, a lot of it is, do we give up the Shrine? Can we afford to give up the Shrine? We have to deal with the top. If things go bad for them on the Shrines right now, they give up 1 to 2 heroes, all of a sudden you have pressure in 2 lanes, and that could be way too much to overcome. Dignitas will look to try and open this game, just missing on the hook there, unable to make the play happen. Stitch comes down, trying to get those resets, getting those Qs off. 1, 2, 3, and now they go forward. In comes the portal, just a threat for now as 16 picked up for Dignitas on the Shrine, underway.
But Kyocha leaps right up, but he's got to beat the combo as the Ardent Defender already popped there. Focus now on to JPL from Gen.G. 10 skeletal defenders. The hook comes through onto Rich. Again, he threads the needle, but the portal is going to be there. Will Dignitas execute as Leyline goes down?
Tornado comes through, will tone up a few members. Ancient Blessings is used, trying to keep the members alive and also trying to get some damage. There comes another hook. Rich is going to be in trouble, trying to get away from there. Somehow survives, getting up potion after potion as Sake keeps his team alive. But now Dignitas will move forward and try and take this Shrine and get another Punisher for themselves. And there's that macro pressure you mentioned, Dread, because that Shaman camp is sieging down that top lane.
And Gen.G attending towards the Shrine itself and not dealing with that macro pressure on the top half of the battleground. It feels terrible to attend there, lose that fight, and then now know you're going back to clear, because once you're rid of the Shaman, you still have to deal with this Punisher. And I hate to add this on top, but you've got to deal with Team Dignitas. That Medivh is going to provide a lot of vision for a bad leap situation, and nothing is better than a whole team following up that Punisher, which you know Snitch enables.
Wherever that Punisher goes, so will Team Dignitas with those portals. They already get the sidewall down, just making sure that they have an avenue to get in there. Gen.G, no 16 yet. Dignitas might look to try and end this game. Dreadnought, 1 kill, maybe 2, can try and get this. Dignitas is pushing forward here in the bottom lane.
Wait for the Punisher to leap here. We'll see who gets the bait. Tis going to be the focus as he ends up getting the juke, not onto that one, but also the jive there.
Portal.
Onto the hook. Portal goes down, but nobody going to go through. Focus out onto the keep here for Team Dignitas. 16 still not acquired by Genji. They get the hook, but the dimensional shift comes through. They're fine for now.
Here we go. The Punisher goes. They're trying to get the lockdown. JPL goes forward. The knockback is there. Kyocha team, they retreat for now. There we go, there's gonna be the hook. Rich comes in, Ancient Blessings has been used as his Sanctification, but the Leyline will buy some time. Try and get this fight outside of it. Kyocha comes in, trying to fight. The Punisher goes goes in. Kyocha gets interrupted. Kyocha goes down.
Team Dignitas finding themselves a kill, but they will not be able to get much past that unless they find themselves a hook.
They're on the core, Dread.
Onto the core. Shielding is going to be removed, but they need to find a way to get one of these kills. Who will be the victim? Tis comes in, and he finds a way back out. Hook is available. Will Jay find a victim? There it is.
Whoa.
Dimensional shift used, 70% and counting now onto the core. Dignitas, they're going to try and close out this
Yeah, the
game.
portals are going. They're dancing around this. 50% falling. There goes one member from Dignitas, but the core 30%. 20. Two members down. Dignitas trying to clutch it out. The reset, trying to get the shields onto this somehow. Dignitas 5 and 10 away. 9%. 7. 5. JPL.
Hey, hold on.
3%.
Gen.G stall out Team Dignitas, and they're pushed towards the core. And with this, they are going to be able to take this red carpet.
They're going for game.
Towards that top keep and be able to break the base here of Team Dignitas. All thanks to those Tassadar shields on the core. The only reason they have 3% to remain.
The Shaman camp is built up. They've already got some damage in. Genji, will they try and close it out?
They want it.
Right now, they get this win, and they are the champions. Dignitas, 20 seconds away. The ancient blessings has been used. They are bursting through this keep. Dignitas, do they have what it takes to hold?
Picked up in 8 seconds. J-How, look at this. They smell blood in the water. They want to be your first two-time champion. Leyline Seal up in 4. We'll see if Dig can hold.
Dignitas holding right now, but the shields have fallen on their core. The combo comes in right now, 70% falling. Genji looking to close it out. Sanctification has been used. Leyline in return, 20% falling. One member goes down, two members go down. Dignitas trying to hold, but Genji has done it. They are your 2018 Global Champions.
What an ending, J-How, after what felt like 10 minutes of Dignitas being able to do anything. And then Gen.G hold their own at a miracle defense and now can claim themselves the champions.
A dynasty has been accomplished here by this team. 3 global championships in a row. Back-to-back BlizzCon champions. Genji truly is a dynasty.
And with that, we are going to waste no time. We are going to send it over to Kevin Cloak and Johnson there with our winners and their interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our global champions of 2018, Gen.G! All right, and here to congratulate our team. Oh wait, come back, guys, come back. Mayhem, come back, come back. We're not done. Here to congratulate our team, production director from Heroes of the Storm, Kaeo Milker, please welcome him to the stage, as well as product manager from esports, John Timorian. Please, guys, come on up. Let's congratulate this team. Well played. What an amazing end to an incredible tournament. Kaeo.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you. Man, can you believe these games? Thank you so much, everybody. On behalf of the Heroes of the Storm team, I want to congratulate all the players on some amazing games. This has been such a great season of HGC. Couldn't do it without you and all of you. Thank you so much.
Team Gen.G. Seems like it was only a year ago that you guys were standing right here waiting to receive your title of HGC Finals Champions. So since then, it has been absolutely inspiring to watch you define what it means to be a world-class competitor. And so it couldn't be with more pride that I congratulate you here today as being the now 2-time 2018 HGC Finals Champions!
All right, BlizzCon, one more huge cheer for Gen.G!
Going back that way?
All right, stay tuned, guys. We're gonna have a winner's interview shortly over at the desk. Congratulations.
From legacy to dynasty, Genji remains your first and only Heroes Global Champions. Let's hear it again for Genji. We obviously have added a few people to our desk now. Congratulations, Genji. And Rich, you've got the headset, so I'm going to ask you, how do you guys feel now being able to win 2 back-to-back BlizzCons? What does this mean for you?
이제 블리즈컨 2연패라는 대업적을 달성했는데 지금 기분이 어떠십니까?
지금 기분이 너무너무 좋고 제가 진짜 좋아하는 영웅이 알라라크를 써서 우승해서 너무 좋은 것 같아요.
We're really satisfied, and especially because I utilized one of my favorite champions, Alarak, to win the whole tournament. So I'm really content about it.
Fred, you want to ask any questions?
I mean, I've got to ask, mainly when it came to the core in the last game. You know, damage coming through, Kyoto with the Tasin shields onto the core. What was going through their mindset in that moment? Did they feel like the game was going to be going down at that point? And once they realized they had made it through the core rush, how did they feel?
이제 마지막 경기에서 상대가 이제 핵 공격에 이제 집착하면서 그 과정에서 이제 테사다 실드 이용해서 3% 남기고 버티고는 역공 가서 이겼잖아요. 그 순간순간들마다 어떤 커뮤니케이션들이 오가고 이제 선수들 다 기분이 어땠는지 대표로 말씀해 주십시오.
일단 핵픽 잘 안 봤어요. 일단 무조건 막아야 된다. 그리고 갈 때는 이거 핵이 3% 남아가지고 이거 게임 답 없다. 무조건 끝내야 된다. 그래가지고 그냥 애들이 핵치자 해가지고 저도 그냥 피 안 보고 그냥 핵만 쳤던 것 같아요.
So what happened was that we didn't even care about the core HP. We just had to defend no matter what. So that was our sole focus. Once we realized we only had 3% left on our core, we were like, if this gets any longer, if the game gets dragged any longer, there's no chance for us. So we gotta kill their core now. So regardless of their core's HP, we just stuck to attacking their core, and then we just ended up somehow getting theirs first.
Rich, last year when you unretired, you said part of the reason was because you didn't want to see Ballistics win when they won during midseason brawl, but you said it was all about winning BlizzCon. Now that you've won 3 global championships in a row, did you expect that? I mean, you came back, you got the BlizzCon, but now you've gotten so much more with now 3 global championship titles under your belt. I mean, did you expect that? How does that feel?
네, 한동안 잠시 떠나 있다가 돌아와가지고는 이제 발리스틱스가 우승하는 모습은 못 보였다 해서 이제 다시 재도전을 해서 이제 총 3회 국제대회 우승을 이뤄냈어요. 이런 대업을 이루리라는 기대를 하셨는지 궁금합니다.
솔직히 막 그렇게까지 자신은 없었는데 이렇게 계속 우승을 하다 보니까 제가 자주 쓰는 영웅들이 있고 제가 여러 가지 영웅을 하니까 한국이 메타를 주도할 수 있게 된 것 같아요.
Initially, I didn't really have the confidence to do so, but after accomplishing one championship after another, I started to learn a lot through these events, and also I have done a lot of research back in my lab, and then we were able to make this accomplishment all together as a team. So I think that's how we were able to control and showcase what the definition of Korean meta is.
So they had quite a rough time to get to this point, struggling a little bit in the semi-finals against Team Liquid. I just want to know what changes, either mentally or just in-game, did they prepare to lead to this astonishing win after that?
이제 4강에서 팀 리퀴드 상대로 좀 고전하면서 3대2로 이기고 이제 결승에 올라왔는데 이제 4강에서 고전한 거에 반해 결승에서는 상당히 우월하고 압도적인 실력으로 이렇게 3대0 우승을 이루어내는데 이제 4강과 결승 사이에 그 멘탈적인 거나 아니면 뭐 이제 마음가짐이라든지 그런 거에 있어서 어떤 변화가 있었는지 궁금합니다.
리퀴드전 때는 이제 2대2일 때 이제 노블레스 코치가 올라와가지고 리퀴드만 이기면은 우승할 수 있을 것 같다. 그래가지고 이번만 힘내라. 그래가지고 저희도 더 힘내서 할 수 있었던 것 같고 디그전 결승 같은 경우는 결코 쉽지 않았어요. 저희도 굉장히 어렵게 이긴 그런 우승인 것 같아요.
So after, prior to the start of fifth set in the semifinals, our coach Nobles came up to us and he said, if we get this through somehow and we reach the finals, we're definitely gonna take this home. So, you know, guys, just hold tight and let's grind this out and get this Praxis holdout win. So we were able to pull that off, and unlike what the score shows, the games themselves were very arduous. So we believe that it was a difficult feat that we accomplished today.
Genji, you have so many fans, even here, but all over the world. What do you want to say to your fans right now after winning another championship?
젠지 팀을 응원하는 상당히 많은 팬들이 이제 현장뿐만 아니라 이제 전 세계적으로 있는데 팬들한테 한마디 말씀해 주십시오.
젠지를 응원해 주셔서 감사하고 젠지는 걱정할 필요가 없다는 것을 말하고 싶어요.
I really want to express my deepest gratitude for all the fans' incessant support. And I think as a team, we have delineated today that the least thing you can do is worry about Genji.
Thank you. 감사합니다. Congratulations, Genji, for continuing your dynasty and remaining the only Heroes Global Champion to date. That's all for us here at BlizzCon in the HGC Finals. Until we meet again, and we'll see you in the Nexus. Good night.
Hunter's mark is on point and all the damage off Hammer, and Hunter just collapses onto the target. But here comes Liquid. They're looking for a kill. Lightning Breath even be used, but immediately the response from Tyrael.
10th Gage gets these two. A Thermal and Ormi, the Death has the back wing. He healed it from Neurok. Same time, Hossel is going in and trying to find those combos.
Rich!
Hammer and Trouble gets put against the wall, but Rich able to escape. The heals are coming in. The High Fury not doing enough as Arts is picked off.
Rich surviving again, and that's another kill. 6 kills against 1 as Reyna falls once more. Arcana not strong enough this time to turn it around. Top keep is gone, they need to do something and they know it.
Look at Rich, so he gets knocked back, and another kill comes in for Team Liquid. Team Liquid is hungry for a game 5.
Team Liquid mercilessly takes them down one by one. 2 deaths already, and Genji is sticking around, trying to go for the backline. They try to go for Arcana.
They're trying for it. Hossel's also in trouble as well. Hossel's actually gets taken down. Genji has done it. Reset, able to jump over the wall. Wow! Kyocha at the same time is finished.
Kyocha, he gets cut off as Sport Billy jumps in. You shall not pass.
Kyocha, though, trying to stay alive, though, going to the back lines. Arcana comes in with the Ravage, with the auto attack.
Not enough, they move in, they need to make something happen. The early Sanctification, the attempt for a kill, trying to burst it down. Genji with the boss, with the Tilliton, they don't get it, Arcana dodges it all.
The big burrow and the heals coming in, the Salvo also at the same time, but Tyrael finally gets zapped down. Team Liquid only has 4 here for defense. No, wait, they only have 3 as Urella fall 2. Arcana comes in for a drag, but Rich comes in for another takedown as Genji punches at 5.
The shield is gone, and Genji with a turnaround.
Praxis holdout, and
good luck, gentlemen.
I don't see them recovering.
Let's have to fight here. Remember, there are 3 turrets here for Dignitas. Dignitas steps up. The control point being used here on the top side. Urella on the back line.
This is the chance. 13 isn't there yet. This is the best fight you're gonna get, Miracle. Sanctification is on the ground. They're looking for the kill. The bunker is there.
Oh.
The X strike to the face. Snitch with the triple kill.
Incredible play by both Wubby and Snitch.
So, I know you guys are probably excited for some HGC Grand Finals, right?
defender is up. See if they're willing to come into the fight. Kyoja will go in. Race strikes in, trying to get on there. Last right's going to be there. Doesn't get the takedown. No ardent defender yet, but that will snipe him. Wubby gets sniped at the tail end of that. JBL will get the toss out for Zelia, but now tracking back. Point, can he survive? Snitch, can he survive? Because JBL living all day long, but and the scatter arrow gets the kill.
That is just Gen.G now cleaning up house 3 for nothing.
See if we get the response there. Counter-strike not going to land on anybody, but Rich will eat a lot of damage. Poik still low, has to be careful with the positioning. JPL still manning the front line. The stuns come in. There goes one member down. That's actually Poik that fell. And Kyoja somehow has 9 lives, but he does finally fall there. Wubby, though, in a bad spot. Snitch taking all the damage from the Dragon Strike. And right now it is 2 for 1 in favor of Genji.
Silence goes down, telekinesis through, and now 3 for 1 in their favor. Shift force in J-How. I feel like when talking
Here we go, they're going in for more.
They're not done. Rich, number 1, can't do that one. And got him! For Dignitas, they are on a tirade here in the top lane.
You break the game when you bring Medivh in, and they stuck it in. They said, look, we know you think that Snitch is the Kerrigan player, but it is Wubby coming in. Portals for days is Dignitas. It's kills for days. That's going to be 8 kills. You know what? Let's make it now. Back.
Dimensional shift used, 70% and counting now onto the core. Dignitas, they're going to try and close out this game.
The portals are going. They're dancing around this. 50% falling. There goes one member from Dignitas, but the core 30%. 20. 2 members down. Dignitas trying to clutch it out. The reset, trying to get the shields onto this somehow. Dignitas surviving. Away. 9%. 7. 5. JPL.
Hey, hold on.
3%.
Gen.G. Stall out. Team Dig can hold.
Dignitas holding right now, but the shields have fallen on their core. The combo comes in right now, 70% falling. Genji looking to close it out. Sanctification has been used. Ley line in return. 20% falling. 1 member goes down. 2 members go down. Dignitas trying to hold.